Coors Field. The umpires are around home plate, and everybody's in their seats ready to go. Rockies and Cardinals, first of three. First matchup this year between these two teams. The Rockies last year took 6 of 7 from St. Louis. In fact, they won 8 of their last 9 against the Cardinals. And that man, Jeff Francis, in his career is 4-1 with a fine .261 ERA in his matchups with St. Louis. This game will have a delay of approximately 30 minutes before we get going. And it was an odd delay in that it never did rain, and the tarp was never placed out on the field. So it's back to one of those traditional start times, a little bit after 7, as the Rockies take the field in the background. St. Louis comes in 45-37. The Rockies 44-38. There's the well-traveled Felipe Lopez, switch hitter who can hit the baseball. He's always been able to do that. And he'll be followed in the lineup by a guy with a lot of pop, Colby Rasmus. He has 16 home runs this year. I think you know a little bit about Albert Pujols. Matt Holliday made his 4th All-Star team. Pujols is 9th. Nick Stavanoa usually comes off the bench. He's starting in right field with the injury to Ryan Ludwig. He's on the disabled list. Yadier Molina, despite a .229 average, is going to the All-Star game, his 2nd consecutive All-Star selection, maybe the best defensive catcher in the game. Tyler Green for Brendan Ryan at short. Ryan's hitting beneath 200. Blake Hawksworth hits in the 8-hole. Tony La Russa has been doing that for a couple of years now, the pitcher in the 8-hole. And the former Rocky Aaron Miles of bat 9th. And let's take a look at the scouting report tonight on Jeff Francis.
As you look at Francis's numbers on the season, 2 and 3, their earned run average really climbed after that last start in Anaheim. The fastball 86-90, you see the curve slider. He'll utilize his changeup an awful lot against right-handed power bats. So look to see that pitch thrown to Pujols and Holliday.
First pitch is brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Text keyword pizza followed by a space in your name to 95323 to receive your Domino's special offer and to be entered to win a pizza party for 15. One weekly winner will be chosen. So it's really a pretty night now. And leading things off, Felipe Lopez. Jeff Francis, and his first pitch just off the outside corner. Ball 1. So it's an official delay of 30 minutes. Lopez sharply hit, and to Barmes. Does he have a chance still? Nope. And ricocheted off Ian Stewart. It'll be a base hit, I'm sure, for Felipe Lopez. Actually, they're changing it. They're already calling it an error on Stewart. Let's take a look at the Mercedes-Benz defensive alignment for the Rockies. Gonzalez, Fowler, and Smith in the outfield. Stewart and Barmes left side. Stewart did not play on Sunday. He got beamed on Saturday night on the elbow. Johnny Herrera, Jason Giambi still playing for Todd Helton, who's getting better with that sore back. Miguel Olivo is behind the plate. Let's take a look again at that hard ground ball to Stewart. Pretty tough chance. Colby Rasmus takes strike 1.
Boy, what a surprise. Well, I shouldn't say surprise. Voted their #1 prospect for a couple of years. 16 home runs, 40 RBIs.
Slowly hit Giambi. Tag play at second. Now they got him hung up. And Francis involved. They'll get the out finally. I thought the second base umpire, Bruce Dreckman, was going to indicate that he was out of the baseline.
Only by about 25 feet.
Yeah. 3-6-1-3 is how the putout was recorded. Let's take a look at the error on Stewart.
Hard ground ball, there's no question about it. And again, it's one of those balls playing the hot corner. You're playing up even with the bag, getting there in a hurry on you. It's like short hop right into it. Tried to play it off to the side. Comes up with the error. And a smart play by Barnes.
So you deal with Pujols the first time around without anybody on base. And that pitch on the outside corner for a strike on Albert. The home run numbers are there. He leads the National League with 20. Second to David Wright in RBIs with 60. And among the league leaders in hitting. All is well with Albert Pujols. 2 hops to Barnes. Good start for Jeff Francis. Turns into a 1-2-3 inning. Off for Colorado. Tonight's text to booth night. It is Tuesday. Text booth followed by a space and then your question to 95323. Brought to you by Office Liquidators and OfficeLiquidators.com. Colorado's largest selection and lowest prices of office furniture. So start texting those questions to us. We'll try to handle as many as is humanly possible tonight. Dexter had a pretty good weekend. 10 for 16. Jonathan Herrera has been outstanding. He's hit 15 of his last 16 starts. Cargo, who's a hopeful all-star, being the 3-hole at Giambi, Olivo 5, Smith 6, Stewart 7, Clint Barmas having a great run. He's in the 8-hole. He's got a 12-game hitting streak, and then Jeff Francis. And Blake Hawksworth, who's got a powerful arm, misses ball 1. Rockies saw him last year work out of the bullpen. 4 innings of relief. The Rockies got 4 runs against him.
Clint Barmas a home run. Stewart with a double. 2 home runs in 40 1/3 innings for Hawksworth. When 09 this year, he's given up 7 home runs in 43 innings.
And it's inside. Brad Penny, one of the reasons Hawksworth out of the bullpen now in the rotation, making his 4th career start. There's been a couple of injuries actually in the rotation to St. Louis. Brad Penny was going to throw before the ball game, throw a simulated game. Georgie threw about 4 pitches. They had to shut him down.
Well, he shut himself down. He just walked off the mound. And again, it's back in that lat area. And of course, Latch would love to see better results and have Penny back as soon as he could. They signed Jeff Suppan, hoping to catch a little lightning in the bottle, but it hasn't happened. He hasn't pitched well enough. He's in the bullpen tonight. Will start Saturday against Houston.
3-2 on Dexter Fowler, who's been on base his last 7 plate appearances. And if that's foul, or fair I should say, it'll be 8. 4 triples in that series for Fowler in the 4-game set as we bring in Jeff Houston. Jeff?
I was just, from my angle, it looked foul all the way, but I was just wondering if you had a different one.
Well, you know, I was hopeful. And this ball is hit hard, but right at Aaron Miles. Let's take a look at the scouting report on the North Vancouver, British Columbia native Blake Hawksworth, though he grew up in the state of Washington.
90-93 fastball, slider, changeup. Typical guy that works out of a bullpen. The sinker slider. His slider, when he works under, turns into a cutter with a little more velocity, but his changeup, a very good pitch at 80-84. Making his 3rd start now for the Cardinals with all the injuries Drew mentioned earlier. Worked out of the bullpen, a very good year in 2009.
I think that's why he makes such a good bullpen candidate, George, because he has that fastball and a very good changeup. His 3rd pitch is not so good.
And Johnny Herrera chops it right back to Hawksworth. 2 outs. Let's take a look at the Mercedes-Benz defensive alignment for St. Louis. Matt Holliday is out in the left field. Colby Rasmussen center, and Nick Stavanoa is in right field. Felipe Lopez, more of a second baseman most of his careers at third base. They're going to try Tyler Green at short. It's the second time up this year. Just called up on Friday. Miles at second. He was picked up on waivers from the Cubs. Pujols at first. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate. Great throwing arm. Here's Carlos Gonzalez. And he takes ball one. Home plate umpire tonight is Bill Hahn. Gary Darling, the crew chiefs, at first. Bruce Dreckman at second. Paul Emmel at third. And that's in there for a strike. 1-1. We have our first text question of the night. You look at Gary Darling, and the question comes in, what does it mean to be the crew chief, Frage?
That means that nobody else wanted to do the paperwork every night. Just kidding. Oldest, been around the longest a lot of times. Those are typically the guys that become the crew chief. Handpicked by the National League or Major League Baseball. It just means that there's a big controversy on the field or plays made that need to be looked at, home runs that need to be looked at. He'll be the guy that goes to the tunnel to look at those along with the other umpires, but he'll have a final decision on it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And that pitch misses. 2-2 on Gonzalez. So the Rockies played the longest game in Coors Field history. 5 hours and 24 minutes on Saturday. And it ended well for Jim Tracy's team. This ball ripped, and it's up and foul. A 4-3 victory over the Giants, and it was huge in a lot of ways. You play that long, obviously you want to win, but Georgia enabled the Rockies to take 3 of 4 instead of getting a 50-50
Absolutely,
push.
no question about it. I had a number of people said, I hope the game doesn't last 15 innings tonight. I said, I don't care if it lasts 25 as long as you win. And that's kind of the way Tracy and the players looked at it. You know, they had a chance to take 3 out of 4 and gain some ground and separate the Giants from you.
Strike 3 on the outside corner at 96 miles an hour. So Hawksworth fans Carlos Gonzalez will go to the second inning. No score. No score, top of the second inning. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Jeff Hewson, and Matt Holliday just heard a nice round of applause when he was introduced. The cleanup hitter for St. Louis, batting .298, 11 home runs, 39 RBIs. And 5 of his home runs came in 1 week just a couple of weeks ago.
Left-handers hitting .301 for Matt Holliday. Higher road average, .312.
He's quickly behind 0-2 against his former teammate Jeff Francis. Talking to Matt before the ball game, and you may have heard some of the interview on the pregame show. And you know, he has a very mature approach in that Yes, he hits behind Albert Pujols, but for a guy as accomplished as Matt, when you're talking about Pujols, he said, I can't put pressure on myself to try to do what he does. He said only he can do what he does. And that's got to be hard because he's pretty darn good player himself.
Well, he's a very good player. I mean, everybody's complaining a little bit in the St. Louis area that he's hit 207 with runners in scoring position. But yet last year he carried their ball club when he got traded there and driving in runs, and hitting home runs, an average of over 350.
Yeah, he had 353 in a Cardinal uniform. 13 home runs with the 24 he hit last year. He had only 11 in more ball games with Oakland. That's outside. 3-2.
Jeff Francis, second lowest earned run average all time with at least 25 starts at Coors Field. Behind Jimenez, who's outstanding at 349. Francis at 4.44.
And he's going to get Matt Holliday here on a fly ball to center field. Crowd approves. Nick Stavinoa will be coming up with one out. Let's take a look at our Breaks Plus Take a Break poll of the game. Do you like the strategy of a pitcher hitting somewhere other than the 9 spot, as Tony La Russa likes to do? Text your answers to 95323. Text rocks 1 for yes, I approve. No, I think they should bat 9. Show this text at Breaks Plus this month. $25 off any brake service, or you can get $10 off any oil change and filter. That's in the month of July from Breaks Plus. And 2-0 on Stavinoa.
Well, Ludwig hurt a couple of days ago going to disabled list, so Stavinoa is one of the guys that had to come up. 275. And a very, very good homestand. We have 278. I go back to the conversation I've had with a number of guys, but I had it with Holliday and I had it with Pujols. Would you rather face 90 to 96, or would you rather face Jeff Francis, 86, 89, but throws 4 pitches into the strike zone? I'd rather face the 90, 96, even 100 miles an hour. He said, I know what's coming there, and it's tough to adjust to if you're facing Jeff Francis.
And already tonight, you can tell that Jeff has that good changeup working, too. He got Matt Holliday on one, then Stavinoa right there.
He's going to get Yadier Molina on a 2-hopper to Barnes. That was a quick inning. In fact, 16 pitches through the first 2 innings for Jeff Francis. We go to the bottom of the second inning. No scored factor, hasn't been a hit. The only base runner was erased very quickly. Ian Stewart made an error in the first inning on a ball hit by Felipe Lopez. The next hitter hit into a double play. Who wants tacos, fans? Remember, if the Rockies score 7 or more runs during any ball game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locales the next day between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special. Feed your Rockies fever only at Taco Bell. Here's Jason Giambi to face Blake Hawksworth. The Cardinals do not employ the same shift we saw the Giants employ with Giambi, where second baseman was really playing well out in the right field. The shortstop was on the right side of the diamond. And it's still a base hit to where the shortstop would play because Green was swung up the middle. He was playing about 2 steps to the left side of the second base bag. A lead single for Giambi. Bring up Miguel Olivo. Snubbed as the all-star catcher, or one of the all-star catchers. Charlie Manuel has only 2 catchers on the club. Brian McCann was voted in by the players, yet Olivo has better offensive numbers and defensive numbers than both of them. That pitch misses. In fact, not to beat up Yadier Molina, who I have the utmost respect for, is a great defensive catcher. In fact, he, in my mind, is the best defensive catcher in the game. Molina's 4 for his last 52 at the plate after grounding out last inning. Towering fly ball to right, and the wind's got it. George, that thing started out.
It was in fair territory for a while.
That was really in fair territory.
For a little while. Well, part of the catching deal in the National League now, the rule changed a couple of years ago that they can now reinsert the catcher. That helped. Or hurt Miguel, but it allowed them to add other players to the ball club. And only one thing that Bud Selig does not want is another debacle like he had in Milwaukee with a tie.
Well, Jeff Houston, I think part of the problem is not all the players, in fairness, do their homework.
And that's true. I mean, because this was a prime example where that happened. Miguel Olivo was left off the roster for one of those times it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. The guys just didn't do their homework.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we blame the fans. You know, they just vote for their favorite player, whether they're deserving or not. Well, the players, I think, sometimes fall in love with the names they're familiar with.
Sure. And that happened in this case with Molina. And I agreed with what you said a few moments ago. But Miguel, his numbers warrant being an all-star. But I think what happened there, though, was he was a guy that kind of was a journeyman at all these different stops, and then all of a sudden he has an opportunity right now to put up the kind of numbers that he's doing, and then he gets left off. And it was plain and simple because he had made so many stops prior to that.
Here's the 2-2. Ooh, just missed. 3-2.
You can hear the mitt pop from down here. That 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You can see why he could be more dominating, stat-wise anyway, coming out of the bullpen.
He's got a big arm. He's touched 98 a couple of times this year. Giambi at first, 3-2. And that may stay fair. Pujols was closest to it. He could see the English on it. Were you close enough, Jeff?
Well, yeah, and that was the reason. He was wise to do that because of the English on it. Hit it right off the end of the bat, and it was just curving and spinning like this. And so he was watching it down the line and saw it curve off just like that. And that's why he decided to go ahead and wait and then pick it up once it went foul. Kind of like a trick shot artist in pool, where you put that English on the ball going sideways.
The old Willie Mosconi, right? You were more of a Minnesota Fats
Minnesota Fats guy for me. But I understand what the other guy wasn't too bad.
And this is heading in foul ground as well.
A lot of wind up high at Coors Field right now. I don't know what it's like down on field level, Jeff. Is it windy down there too?
Well, it's picked up. It's not quite as bad as it does up above, but early on, that ball that Miguel Olivo hit, I thought it was going to be an easy fly ball to right field, and the wind just caught it and drove it about 30 feet, 30, 40 feet foul. And really just within the last 5 to 7 minutes, because to start the ball game, it was perfectly calm down here.
And the foul tip is held by Molina. So a strikeout of Miguel Olivo, the second of the ball game for Hawksworth, and that'll bring up Seth Smith. Hawksworth was born in North Vancouver, British Columbia. Jeff Francis does not know him because he grew up in the state of Washington. He was going to go to Cal State Fullerton, opted instead to go to Bellevue Community College after high school, and was drafted out of there in the 28th round. Good fastball hitter in Seth Smith. Here's the 1-0. 2-0. A few years back, this kid Hawksworth was the #1 prospect in the Cardinals chain, and then he had an injury and he slipped back. And
he made 120 of 125 appearances in minor leagues with starts.
Cardinals just keep coming up with pitching. Carpenter and Wainwright, Jaime Garcia tomorrow for St. Louis. He's been marvelous. 3-1.
When you're a tall guy the way Hawksworth is on the mound, when you get a lot of, say ground wind on a mound, see his shirt flapping pretty good on the mound right now, then it's hard to keep your balance when you come set as you start to go, because depending on the wind's coming, if it's straight to your back, it's not near as difficult if it's a crosswind on the field.
It's kind of swirling down here, not quite sure which direction it's coming from.
Well, that's a delayed strike call by Bill Hahn. 3-2.
From the side angle here, that looked low.
You can tell right here on the fourth strike zone where it was. A little bit low, a little bit outside at 95. It was a good pitcher's pitch, but not on a 3-0 count, a 3-1 count.
That clearly was inside. Now the Rockies have 2 on with 1 out for Ian Stewart. That ball game the other day, fellas, was so long that I didn't realize until reading the notes afterward. The Rockies received 15 walks in that ball game on Sunday against the Giants. Did you realize that?
15 walks and just to get 3 runs out of that. Of course, 4 of those 15 were intentional walks when they had to load the bases.
And then forward to Dexter Fowler too. So that's.
Well, there was a lot of opportunity between the two teams. 23 with runners in scoring position, and they were 3 for 23 combined.
So Ian Stewart steps in and he rifles it foul.
Lester, one of those guys that had faced Hawksworth a couple of years ago, and 1 for 3 in his career against him.
Ian's going with that elbow pad tonight, something he hasn't worn, but he is now once he got hit by the pitch, and his elbow just really ballooned up on him.
Jeff, did you ever use that?
No, I didn't. And I talking to Ian today, the only thing he was concerned about was his full extension once he hit the ball. He wasn't concerned with his throwing or anything, just the final extension that you get swinging.
Yeah, he lifted his arms, but that pitch was on the inside corner, so it's 0-2 on Stewart.
Jeff, after you got hit in a game like that in the arm, did it ever affect the way you batted the next couple of times? Once you got hit?
Not really, because the only place you were worried about was that elbow. But if you gave those pitchers an inch, they could smell it. Like, they knew that you were a little tentative with that, with wherever you got hit.
You mean there were sharks in the water?
Yeah, they were circling.
2 outs. Clint Barmas coming up. Rockies with Giambi at second base. He singled. Seth Smith at first base. Barmas riding a 12-game hitting streak. That's in there for a strike. Rasmus, one of those center fielders, Huey, that plays very shallow.
Kind of like a Jim Edmonds.
I was wondering how much effect maybe Edmonds.
Yeah.
Rasmus's been around for a while. I just wonder what effect maybe Edmonds had on him when he was there in a Cardinal uniform.
I'm sure he did. Colby Rasmus, as you mentioned, George, was a high pick for them and one of their top prospects. Might as well learn from a guy like Jimmy Edmonds.
So he's got a few gold gloves.
Yep.
2-strike count on Barmes, hitting .408 during this 12-game hitting streak. And that's deep in the hole, knocked down, and that's all for Green. So the bases are loaded for Jeff Francis. It'll be a base hit. 13-game hitting streak now for Barmes.
He hit a home run against Hawksworth when he faced him a year ago. This time he gets a slider off the end of the bat and hits it. It's backhanded by Green, but not fielded clean enough to have a play anywhere. A little hook and line drive, and he tried to catch the right hop to make the right play.
Well, that matches a career best, a 13-game hitting streak for Barmes. Third time he's done it. Francis can handle the bat. That pitch is down.
This kind of comes back into our Breaks Plus poll question, because think about this. Tony La Russa, his 8-hole hitter, would have been the pitcher, which would have been Clint Barmes' spot. And now the Rockies do it the other way. They have Francis hitting.
And this is chopped to second. Miles will throw out Francis. So the Rockies leave him loaded in the second inning. We'll go to the third. No score. Tyler Green will lead off for St. Louis. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T Rethink Possible. By Brakes Plus, a whole lot more. By King Supers, our people make the difference. And by Hyundai, get more style, more MPG, and more value at your Colorado Hyundai dealers today. Windy night at Coors Field. The Rockies opening up a 3-game set with the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that is very popular in a lot of areas of the country, but here in the Rocky Mountain region in particular. Of course, a lot of folks before the Rockies arrived, wanted to follow Major League Baseball, would follow the Cardinals with Jack Buck on KMOX.
You bet. Mike Shannon, who's been there too for a number of years with Jack, and now Mike's taken over the #1 role in the broadcast the last for about a decade now, a little longer.
This ball's hit well to left, and the wind holds it up. Carlos Gonzalez had to leap and make the catch. Jeff Houston off the bat. Tyler Green, who has some pop, I thought that ball was going to flirt with a home run.
Yeah, wind knocked it down big time because it was knuckling on Carlos Gonzalez when it went out there. When he hit it, I was with you. It's over the fence. And then Carlos started to come in and had to jump back out. Tyler Green, as he was rounded first, didn't know what happened. He didn't know if he caught it, if it went out, what exactly was. But at the end, it was an out by Carlos.
Well, out of the 8-hole, here is the pitcher, Blake Hawksworth, and he takes strike one. Hawksworth without a hit this year. He has only 6 at bats. Well, we'll take a quick poll. George, Jeff, your thoughts on the pitcher hitting 8th as opposed to 9th. Georgie?
Well, if it works for Tony, great. I mean, there's some reason he's done this. He has a history of doing it. I think your pitchers have to be able to handle the bat to get away with it. And I can understand, just like Jeff Francis, if they would have gotten Clint Barmas out, Francis leads the inning off. You like having a pitcher coming up, but yes, Tony has some scientific reason or figured out that the pitcher finishes a lot of innings or leads off a lot of innings.
I like the pitcher hitting 9th. There's a reason why they are hitting there, and the less chance that they have to come up in a situation that can drive in a run, the better.
I like the pitcher hitting 9th unless it's Babe Ruth.
Then he can hit 3rd or 4th.
Right. Strike 3 on the inside corner. And the 8-hole hitter returns to the dugout. 2 outs, nobody on. First strikeout for Francis. That'll bring up another one of Jeff's former teammates, Aaron Miles. Let's take a look at our Excel Energy fun fact for the night. Tied just the 12th time since 1919 the 2 Canadian starting pitchers have faced each other. Fergie Jenkins faced Reggie Cleveland 4 times. And the last time it happened was the 07 season with Jeff Francis was facing Sean Hill of the Cubs. Interesting fact from Excel Energy. This ball, blooper for a base hit for Aaron Miles.
See, that's why you have your position player hitting 9th.
He flipped the lineup over. Felipe Lopez coming up with 2 outs. By the way, you could sign up for an in-home energy audit, and you learn simple ways to save around your house from Excel Energy. The way to do it, go to responsiblebynature.com. Lopez hit a sharp ground ball that was not handled by Ian Stewart beginning the ball game. Lopez, former Red, National, Diamondback, he can hit. He sends a charge into this one with a wind hold it up. 2-run home run, Felipe Lopez. And now how big was that fluke single for Aaron Miles?
Well, obviously huge. Lopez comes up with his 5th home run and 20th RBI in the game. As much as the ball was hit, Jeff, I thought by Tyler Green much harder. It didn't go anywhere. For some reason, this ball got out of the ballpark into the wind.
Well, maybe with the direction it was hit into the alley there in left center field, where the big high scoreboard doesn't have the chance to quite knock it down like it did to the left of that scoreboard. But that ball was hit extremely hard. At least the sound of it down here at field level.
So a 2-0 lead for St. Louis. And the Cardinals are great front runners. When they score first this year, they have the 2nd best record in baseball to the Yankees. They are 32-7. Yankees are just slightly better. Actually, you know what? These numbers were updated. This is line to left center field. And that's a base hit for Rasmus. The Cardinals now are ahead of the Yankees in that department. So they're number 1 in baseball. Now you got to deal with Pujols. Albert grounded to short his first time up on a couple of hops.
Fastballs, that's all Jeff fed him. Fastball away, strike 1. Fastball again, it had some sink at 87.
Talking to Pujols in the clubhouse today, and I said, do you feel like, so everybody's talking about this being the year of the pitcher, do you feel like day in and day out the pitching's been better? And he said, you know, it's been good. He said, but I don't want to make an excuse for the fact that my average is coming into the ball game 305. Who would make an excuse for 305?
That's just, and 20 home runs and 60 RBI.
Albert would.
But it's, you know, it's well below his career mark. And I think, like any player that's been around a while and established a benchmark, particularly this one, as you look at his Amica hit zone. Amica, it's not how you're covered, it's how you're treated. Check back at the end of the year. When it turns to October, let's look at what his numbers are. Here's the 1-0, way inside, 2-0.
Well, that average out on the end there, that 195 down and away from Pujols was where Jeff Francis got him early.
Albert's career average, 332. And since 1945, it's the 4th highest batting average accumulated in that time. Ted Williams, 340. Tony Gwynn, 338. Ichiro at 333, and then Albert right there at 332. By the way, Todd Helton, 8th on that list at 325. Matt Holliday's on that list. He's at 316. Fouled off. And his philosophy, like all good hitters, is to get a good pitch to hit, Jeff, and put a good swing on it, and the rest is out of his hands.
Well, because he's so strong, he uses his legs, his upper body, everything's involved in the swing. His stance is one that there's not a whole lot of wasted motion. He's spread out very, very wide, hands back, and just kind of rocks back to that back leg to generate that swing. But you have to be very strong to do what Albert does and the way he does it. You know, part of the time, because all you're looking at is you're just sitting here and you just got to rock back a little bit before you start to go forward, and that's what makes him so good and so quick to the ball.
Reminds me a little bit of Jeff Bagwell early in his career, the way he squatted down basically at the home plate area, generated so much strength with the upper body and the turn of the back leg.
Tried to get him offered a changeup, it just missed. Pujols held up, so it's 3-2 on Albert. 2-0 St. Louis on the 2-out 2-run home run a moment ago by Felipe Lopez, and then Colby Rasmus singled. So he's at first base, and Rasmus will be moving with the pitch. Outfield extremely deep, as you would figure. Hard down the third base line. Stewart can't get there. With Rasmus running, he has a chance to score, and he will easily. A run-scoring double for Pujols, and if not for that being a 3-2 pitch, it's probably second and third.
Well, Rasmus, pretty good speed. It would have to be obviously fielded very cleanly in order to have an opportunity. It's a down and in changeup at 79. That's just what Jeff talked about, the rotation of that lower body, and then that upper strength comes into effect on the swing of the baseball. The ball just shot by Stewart at third base.
And the Rockies will not deal with Matt Holliday with first base unoccupied. They'll put him on.
Well, part of that is too Matt Holliday, and again, you know, everybody knows Jim Tracy's big on numbers. With 2 outs, the highest batting average with 2 outs this year, Matt Holliday's second at 347, and that's 121 at bats.
That's Nick Stavinoa on deck, and he'll come up with 2 on.
And all this damage has been done with 2 outs.
Stavinoa 361 versus left-handers. Tell you what, he's got that weight distributed pretty good for a guy who weighs 240 pounds.
He's thick, isn't he? Change up at the knees.
He's got big tree trunks for legs.
Those forearms look pretty big too. That's a big man.
And this is served to shallow right. Coming on is Seth Smith. He'll make the catch. In the inning, Felipe Lopez, a 2-run home run, an RBI double from Albert Pujols. It's 3-0 Cardinals. Cardinals leading 3-0. The Rockies will get their second look at Blake Hawksworth. It'll be Dexter Fowler, Johnny Herrera, and Carlos Gonzalez, the top of the order. And Fowler takes ball one. Dexter hit a hard one hopper at Aaron Miles on a 3-2 pitch in the bottom of the first inning. Let's take a look at another text question. Text the booth night brought to you by Office Liquidators. What is Dexter Fowler doing differently to hit the ball better so far? That's from Kristen and Littleton. The only change came from the left side, George.
And it did. He dropped his hands. To me, that was the biggest thing he's done. Before he had his hands about ear high, maybe even a little bit higher. He's loosened his hands up. He starts with his bat down about this angle here. And as the pitch comes, he raises about 4 or 5 inches into here and then takes a swing at the baseball.
And
it's obviously worked.
Jeff, what does that enable him to do?
More relaxed when he goes to swing, and that's been the difference in Dexter Fowler. And for me, too, the other thing is for Dexter right now is his confidence is sky high because he's having a little bit of success. And you can just see one builds on the other, and his numbers from the San Francisco series just bear it out, what he's been able to do.
Johnny Herrera will step up. Rockies loaded the bases in the second inning. Jeff Francis was the hitter with 2 outs, and he bounced to second to end the threat. Felipe Lopez in on the grass, and that pitch is in there for a strike on Herrera. I'm always amazed, Huey, that Dexter walks as much as he does. It's a credit to his eye, but the reason I say that is he stands upright, and he's about 6'5½". It's not like he has a small strike zone.
Well, I compare his strike zone to Jonathan's, and the difference between the two, and that's what you have. It's about probably 6 inches high and 6 inches wide type of difference.
That's way inside.
Dexter has to be careful over at first base, too, because he's, even if he's not going to steal, because what happens is you're going to have the back pick from Yadier Molina. He's one of the best in the game, is throwing behind a left-handed hitter to try to get a guy who's napping after he gets a secondary lead.
He's picked off 33 base runners since 2005, the most of any catcher in the game. Hawksworth can be tough to run on with the combination of Molina behind the plate. Hawksworth will mix in a slide step. When he actually lifts his leg, he's not all that quick to the plate, but you got to be able to read when he's going to slide step or not, and that's tough to do, isn't it, Hugh?
Well, what you do is you assume it's going to be a high leg kick, and if you start to go, and then in your mind you see that slide step, you have to shut it down. But then once you shut it down, you have to make sure that you're still in a balanced position so you don't get back picked, as I was talking about a moment ago, where you get too far off of first base.
There goes Fowler. It's a hit and run. Pujols has only one play, and that's at the bag. And Herrera showing great back control to get behind the baseball, or behind the runner on that, Jeff.
Yeah, most of the time you're taught, okay, if you're a left-handed hitter, what you're trying to do is hit the ball to the shortstop side. But if that ball's inside, there's nothing you can do. All you can do as a hitter, when you're told to hit and run, it's hit the ball on the ground. The worst thing you can do is swing through it or pop the ball up.
1 out, Carlos Gonzalez at the plate. Gonzalez caught looking on a fastball right on the outside corner his first time.
Oh, boy, that a wide open.
Yes, he did.
Green went over to have the pick. Hawksworth didn't even look back, and the left side of the infield was just totally open. Well, watch up the middle. Now you're going to watch Green sneak in behind him. He's standing on the back. That whole left side. As a hitter, it's difficult to recognize it that quick. That left side opened big for Gonzalez.
Jeff, going back to the hit and run, were you able at the plate, and they'd hit and run some with you, to see coverage when it changed and the shortstop?
No, that's too much movement, trying to decipher all of that and then see the ball where it's coming from. You just assume the shortstop is going to be the guy.
This is loud and long to left center field, and gone. 2-run home run, Carlos Gonzalez. And the Rockies within a run of the Cardinals. You bet, vote for Cargo. He's had an all-star first half.
Watch what this kid has evolved into in the eyes of everybody in Colorado in this broadcast booth, an all-star. When the Hyundai camp, see this pitch run away from him. Heads, eyes, everything staying right on the pitch and the location of the pitch, and then driving it with that kind of power into the wind, opposite field. That's impressive.
He's impressive. 5 home runs, 11 RBIs in his last 8 ball games. Giambi takes a strike. It's 1-1. Jason had a base hit to left field his first time.
You see on the Ford strike zone, it's high, obvious up into the strike zone. Allowed him to get that full extension at bat speed through the zone. This club has become explosive at times, and then it's like goes to sleep for 4 or 5 innings, and it'll pick back up again. So that explosiveness is worn by number 5.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Giambi. Three and 2. Rockies 26-15 at home this year. After taking 3 of 4 from the Giants inside the NL West, they're 19-15. They're below 500 against the Central. Last year they dominated the Central. And this is going to be a tough chance for Miles. No chance. I would assume they'll give Giambi a hit on that, Jeff. That's a pretty difficult play.
Well, especially when he started out on this too, and it was off, or excuse me, in on the hands, and had that backspin, kind of sideways spin that we talked about on the same ball that Clint Barnes hit to the backhand of Tyler Green. That time to Aaron Miles, just couldn't handle it as it hopped up on him.
Miguel Olivo struck out swinging his first time up. Outside, ball 1. Still haven't indicated whether that's a hit or not in the official score. We'll let you know as soon as it's passed on to us. Line drive foul. Let's take a look at another text question. If Cargo doesn't make the All-Star game, who's the bigger snub, Olivo or Carlos Gonzalez? That's from a bunch of folks at Lakewood.
Well, for me, I mean, Cargo's got better numbers. For me, it would be a huge snub that he didn't get on it.
See, I disagree on that. I mean, not that I don't think Cargo deserves, but I think Miguel Olivo and the number he's put up compared to Yadier Molina, to Brian McCann. You look at any other National League catcher, and his numbers are just way off the charts compared to them.
Yeah, I think when you compare him by position, I would agree with you, Jeff. 1 and 2 on Olivo, and he stays alive. And again, you could still vote for the next couple of days through Thursday for Carlos Gonzalez. Heath Bell, Carlos Gonzalez, Joey Votto, Billy Wagner, and Ryan Zimmerman. I'll be perfectly honest. Joey Votto, I mean, he deserves to be an All-Star.
He does.
He deserves to be an All-Star. Not even close.
Yep.
He plays a position where there's a glut of good players. Boy, that's good base running by Giambi. Forced Miles, if he was going to get an out, to get the out at first by the hesitation and not running into the tag. And now the tying run is at second base. Nice little subtle move by Giambi.
Well, once this went off the glove of Hawksworth, then as a base runner, you have to stop to make sure he can't tag you. He did that, and then Miles went to throw, and then Jason went about a foot and a half out of the baseline, just enough that he couldn't tag him, but it wasn't an interference or out of the baseline type of play.
But Jeff, let me ask you a question. As a middle infielder, why not flip it to short and get the lead run?
because of where he caught it. It's a very difficult flip to try to flip it back behind you because he almost caught it in the baseline or towards the front part of the grass there. If you catch it behind the baseline, then yeah, you can flip it that way. And you would want to go to second and get the lead runner.
1-0 on Seth Smith with the tying run at second in Giambi. Outfield straight up. Deep on the corners. Average depth by Colby Rasmus in center field. The wind has changed direction. Now it's blown out right to left. Hawksworth quietly, George, has thrown 62 pitches here in the third inning.
Way too many, particularly a guy that works out of the bullpen. You expect strikes out of them because that's what they have to do when they come in. All of a sudden, he's starting to pitch around batters instead of attacking batters like he did in the first inning.
And that's not close. It's 3-1.
You think it'd be just the opposite after getting a 3-0 lead to at the top half of this inning.
Well, I know there's one guy that wishes it, and that would be Dave Duncan. 24 pitches each the last couple of innings. He's not out of this one. 6-3 ball counts for him also.
And ball 4. I wonder if Dave Duncan's going to wander out here. Here comes Stewart up. And I see him moving. And here he comes. While Dave Duncan visits with Blake Hawksworth, we'll tell you that if you want to repair your windshield, the best way to do it is to call Safelite Elite Auto Glass at 303-287-5000 or check them out online at safelite.com. So Smith at first, Giambi at second. Gonzalez hit a 2-run home run earlier in the inning. Fowler reached to begin the inning with a walk.
Dave Duncan's one of those renowned pitching coaches that's been with Tony for a number of years, and he keeps it very simple. He's not a modern age type pitching coach, and what I mean by that, a lot of guys want him to drop and drive and put a lot of drive into the lower half. He believes in staying tall with his pitchers and then drive to the plate once you start to get over the top of the rubber. But a lot of guys try the drop and drive. What he likes to do is low hand set. You can see that at the belt line, and then it's a ball.
That's a ball. His spikes got caught up. And now the Rockies with a base hit take the lead in all likelihood. I guarantee Dave Duncan didn't tell him to do that.
No, it's trick pitch. No, they did not. I will assure you of that. He comes setting, and as he goes, that back spike hooked on the back end of the rubber.
Stewart struck out swinging his first time. Ball 1.
Stu's had a lot better time with 2 outs and runners in scoring position this year, nearly 300. With 1 out or less, 188.
Two and out. Three balls, no strikes on Stewart with Barmes on deck. Molina setting up off the plate. So they wanted to go right on right with Barmes, clearly. Stewart walks to load the bases, and let's see if that strategy gets turned upside down by Clint Barmes, who had a base hit, an infield hit his first time up to extend his hitting streak to 13 games.
And if you just joined the telecast, Clint Barmes 3-run home run off of Hawksworth a year ago.
How about that average now up to 260?
You know, if he hits 260 and you double his stats, mid-teens home runs, this ball pulled foul, and 80 RBIs. Forget 80. Let's just say he hits 14 home runs and drives in 70 with a 255, 260 average. The way he plays defense, that's quite a player, Jeff.
It is, and a guy that can play second base and or shortstop if he needed to. I'm sure he could go over and play third and play at Gold Glove caliber.
Here's the 0-1. Bases full of Rockies. 1-1. At third base is Jason Giambi. He singled. He's 2 for 2. Smith walked and Stewart walked. 3 walks in the inning. Carlos Gonzalez, a 2-run opposite field home run. Top foul. Now Barmes will go into battle mode. Rockies can pick up the game on the Padres. Washington beat him in our nation's capital just a short while ago, 6-5.
Well, Washington was winning 5-2 into the 8th, and San Diego tied it up 5-5.
Rockies began the day 5 games back. The Dodgers began the day 4 games back. Dodgers are at home later against the Marlins. Hard ground ball, but at Miles, he bobbles it, and he's still going to get Clint Barmes. So the Rockies will leave him loaded for the 2nd consecutive inning. But they do get 2 runs on the Carlos Gonzalez monster shot to left center field. Cardinals leading 3-2 as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Let's take a look at our AT&T trivia question on a Tuesday night at Coors Field. Who are the 4 Rockies to have 8 ribbies in a game? That's a good month for a lot of folks. Yadier Molina will lead things off. He saw 1 pitch and bounced to Clint Barmes. His first look at Jeff Francis. 4 for his last 52. His batting average down at 227. But at 228, he's headed to the All-Star game. Fans voted him in. Temperature at game time 1 hour ago, 81 degrees. It's now down to 67. The winds at the start of the game were just a mild breeze at 4 miles an hour. Now the average gust at 27 miles an hour.
Wow. I'm just looking at the clouds moving out into the outfield right now and how fast they're getting across.
It feels like it's straight out of the north, too.
Outside 2-2 on Molina. Yadier's average beneath 230, but he's a tough man to strike out.
That's just in the Molina gene, I think.
Yeah, Benji doesn't strike out much either. Way inside, 3-2. Jose the third Remember the catching trio?
Isn't that amazing? 3 kids, all 3 in the big leagues. All 3 have been all-stars, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if Jose has. Benji has. Yadier going for the 2nd straight time. In fact, for Yadier, George, and you're an old Cardinal fan, grew up in Missouri, Springfield. Yadier Molina is the first. Come up with this in a second. Give me a moment. That's outside. Molina draws a walk. That's a bad walk for Jeff Francis because he was way ahead. I'll give you the note in a moment because we have some business to do first. Today's Fast Cash Sideline Report is brought to you by Fast Cash Gold Centers, where you'll always get 40% more for your gold. Here's Mark Stout.
Hey guys, a couple of home runs in the game. Albert Pujols has not hit one, although he comes into this game with 386 in his career. He has 18 homers against the Rockies and 9 here at Coors Field, but he has not hit one out at 20th and Blake since May the 30th of 2007, and that was off of Jason Hirsch. And a little bit more history with the Rockies in terms of his home runs. His first ever in his rookie year, obviously, came off of Armando Reynoso, a guy the Rockies picked in that '92 expansion draft. Numbers 2 and 3 off of Denny Nagel and Mike Hampton. The big guy is 14 away from 400 in his career. Drew, George?
Most home runs ever. First 10 years of his career. I think Ralph Kiner, I believe off the top of my head, had the previous record for most home runs in the first decade. Kiner a Hall of Famer. Albert Pujols one day will be a Hall of Famer. 1-0 on Tyler Green. All right, I found the note I was looking for on Molina, George. Back-to-back All-Star games. He's the first Cardinal catcher to be the starter back-to-back All-Star games since Walker Cooper in 43 and 44.
Yeah, Ted Simmons was an All-Star, but not back-to-back and be a starter.
Out of play.
Daryl Porter was here, so did a pretty good job for Whitey Herzog when they went to the World Series. Daryl was an All-Star in the American League when he was with the Kansas City Royals.
And Tony La Russa has given Green a chance at shortstop. Because Brendan Ryan's hitting a .198.
Well, and he's also made 12 errors, which leads the Cardinals. So you're not hitting, you're not fielding, you're going to find yourself on the bench.
That's not a good combination.
No. You got to do one or the other to stick up here at the big league level.
Brendan Ryan, I was talking, I mentioned earlier to Pujols, and Ryan came by briefly and said, hey, they want me to work on my left-handed stroke. And he and Aaron Miles thought he was kidding. And he said, no, I'm serious. And they were still unclear as to whether or not he had been summoned to try to, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, I mean, maybe somewhere in his background he had worked from the left side. But that's how much Brendan Ryan is struggling. Either he's being self-deprecating or the Cardinals are going to try a big league experiment in the cage for a while. Fouled off.
Not a good place to learn how to switch hit in the big leagues.
Oh, that's a definite, if you're going to learn to switch hit, that's a definite trip back to either AA or AAA.
Yeah, it's not going to happen up here.
No. Not when you're 2 games back of the Cincinnati Reds in that division.
It's an interesting note. I was looking at this earlier and I kind of forgot about it, and I look back. Lowest ERA versus the Cardinals among active pitchers, 4 of the 5 are left-handed.
It's a 3-2, and it's a base hit to right. Molina stop at second, and now they're 2 on with nobody out, and Hawksworth, the pitcher, coming up. He'll be in a bunting mode, but first Bob Apodaca wants to talk to Jeff Francis. So 2 deep counts, 2 base runners. Take a look at a text question from Caitlin. Will Jorge De La Rosa be pitching in the majors anytime soon? Caitlin, how about Friday? How about against the Padres when they come to town? It'll be Jorge De La Rosa Friday against Kevin Correa. De La Rosa, after missing more than 2 months, will be back with the Rockies, and that's great news. He's 19-5 over his last, or 4 over his last 23 decisions.
It was kind of like making a trade without having to make a trade. You just get him back. You don't have to give up anything. Just seeing now in the bullpen, obviously he's up tossing. Might have to come in for Jeff.
Which answers the other question I'm sure people had is, oh, who is he replacing?
There you go.
There you go. Aaron Cook will go tomorrow. Yoli Chassin, for the time being, will work out of the pen. And he's working George, quickly down there.
Well, he's trying to get loose fast as he can to get going before they get to the top of this lineup. They may come in to face Miles. So nobody out, first and second. You're already down 3-2. You mentioned De La Rosa, 19-4. That's the second highest winning percentage since June 1st with 15 decisions. Chris Carpenter, who will pitch against Jimenez, is 23-6, and Ubaldo 26-7. Phil Hughes leads the way at 15-3.
Hawksworth making sure he had the signal. Jose Akendo came down and talked to him, and he got the bunt down. Fair ball. That's a bad break. Boy, Olivo, had he picked the baseball up, would have been able to cut down the lead runner at third base.
Well, and then once he touched it, and then even though it went into foul territory, it's still a fair ball. And that's what Jim Tracy's arguing right now. It bounced up out in fair territory, but Miguel, when he reached for it, just went off his fingers.
Well, you'll see where this ball comes out, and because of the spin, it's out in fair territory. He never touched the ball. Right. So play that again a little bit for us here. So let's see if he got this ball or not. See if you can see it on the sky cam. Ran a ball away from him, and as he went to go get it, if he touched it, it was with his little finger. Yep. Hyundai cam's going to tell it right here. Just watch his hands, folks at home. He came down with the bare hand. He's thinking, all right, I got a third base shot at it. Yep, finger got it. But did he touch it behind the plate?
I think it was out in front of the home plate when he touched it.
Let's watch right here. You'll see on the side view.
Right there.
We got right to the back. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, you just got to make some pitches and get out of this.
Bill Hahn, the home plate umpire, was right on top of that.
Pretty good umpire, too. A lot better since he got glasses.
Second and third for Miles, who punched a single to center his first time up. And this is lifted to right field. Now the wind's going to drift it back and leave Smith with no chance to get the runner Molina scoring. They came close to getting Green, and that would have been one of those deals. Been very close if Molina had scored before the tag.
Would have been very close. Molina can run. Molina on the year, 6 stolen bases. He's been caught 3 times, so he can motor up the baselines. And Smith made a smart call there instead of coming to the plate going to third base. Because a lot of times, the follow-up runner, he's not going to turn it up a notch as much as the other.
I tell you what, if there's any question of whether Seth Smith could play right field and his arm, I think it was answered right there. That was a laser.
It's 4-2. St. Louis. You have a potential 5th run at third base. Lopez with a 2-run home run at the plate. Francis needs to put this inning down right here. Lopez representing the top of the order. Here's the swing in the third.
It almost looked like a breaking ball that stayed up. It never got to that back foot where they wanted.
The right side is where his power is. Of his 5 home runs, 4 have come right-handed.
Outside, it's 3-1. God, Lopez last year was traded from the Diamondbacks to the Brewers. He had 320 in a Brewers uniform, 301 with the Diamondbacks. In 08, you may recall he had 43 games in the Cardinal uniform. He hit 385. And this is a base hit to left center field. It's 5-2. St. Louis, and Jeff Francis, first couple of innings were very good. He got the first 2 men out in the third. Since that time, he has struggled.
Part of that is they're in pitchers counts, or excuse me, hitters counts. You're seeing a lot of 2-1, 2-0, 3-1 counts, and you get into hitters counts, fastball counts, and if you don't have confidence in a breaking ball to work behind in the count and throw, well, it's not a fun night at the ballpark.
That's Colby Rasmus with Pujols on deck.
I remind all the fans that the Rockies will be collecting new and used baseball equipment at all gates on July 10th for the youth baseball programs in the city of Denver, for the metropolitan area. So make sure on July 10th, bring that old equipment that's leaning against the wall in the garage. Drew.
Gotcha. Rasmus ripped a single to left center his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Runner going. This is a broken bat fly ball in a difficult area, and Smith will get there. In the inning, 2 more runs for St. Louis. Middle of 4, the Cardinals are up 5-2. Cardinals have scored 5 runs in the first 4 innings, 5 runs on 6 hits. The Rockies have a 2-run home run tonight from Carlos Gonzalez. This date in history is brought to you by Dex One Marketing Solutions Business Results. Coors Field in 1998 hosted the 69th annual Midsummer Classic. Ken Griffey Jr. would beat out Jim Thome to win the long-awaited home run derby. It was quite a show. I sat in the left field seats, George. The balls were flying in the upper deck that night.
Wasn't a good night, was it?
Well,
for pitchers.
Well, it wasn't a good night for the BP pitchers. Ryan Spilborghs is pinch hitting for Jeff Francis here in the bottom of the 4th. So a good start for Jeff, but the last 2 innings have been problematic. And unfortunately for Jeff, it's his 2nd straight short outing. strike also. 2-strike count on Spilborghs, which means Yoli Chacin will be in the ball game. And on a positive side, you're losing Francis early in the ball game, but you're putting in a guy that's been really effective, and he's a starting pitcher, so he can go a long time.
He can. The only effects you wonder what it will have is loosening up out of the bullpen, coming in not a normal way of his what he's been doing things for a while.
And the first guy he gets is Pujols.
Well, you know, I mean, one or two things going to happen, right? You're going to get him out, or he's going to hit the ball. Just eliminate it, go pitch. Not take the ball player out of it. Just see a hitter standing there. I know it's easy to do.
Strike 3 on Ryan Spilborghs. 4th strikeout for Hawksworth.
4 strikes on. You see this pitch on the outer half of the plate. That's a changeup that he's thrown effectively today. I'm sure he'd like to work his way through the 5th, but he's at 76 pitches right now and working out of the bullpen. He's made 3 starts. But not so much that he's thrown a lot of pitches in a ball game.
Good swing by Dexter. It's 0-1. Fowler walked and came around on the Gonzalez home run last inning. Rockies have left the bases loaded in each of the last 2 innings, though. In the 2nd inning, when they left them loaded, Jeff Francis was at the plate.
Dexter with his hands down at his waist now kind of reminds me of Darryl Strawberry a little bit.
Well, you know, with not quite the same pop.
No, I'm just saying the way Darryl just stood there with his hands there and then brought him up.
Well, another guy reminds me of that neither one of you remember watching him play and being a very productive player, but are too young to have played against him, Jeff. But Bobby Bonds did the same thing. Barry's dad.
Okay.
He just let him rest down, and a lot of times he'd move the bat right out in front of him and just let it hang over home plate. But man, did he have quick hands.
Strike 3. Well, that looked like it was right there. And Fowler's gone. 5 strikeouts, back-to-back caught-looking strikeouts for Hawksworth. That'll bring up Johnny Herrera. AT&T trivia question and answer. The 4 Rockies to have 8 RBIs in a game. A couple familiar names, a couple that may catch you by surprise. Actually, one in particular that'll catch you by surprise. Big Cat, Larry Walker, Matt Holliday. You expect great offensive achievements from those. Ronnie Belliard has always been able to hit, still going strong. Hit it 0-3. There's a base hit for Herrera. So Johnny's hitting 16 of his last 17. And that'll allow Carlos Gonzalez to come up. And who knows? Big swing, and it's a 1-run game again.
Well, 2 outs. I mean, just go ahead and keep swinging the bats. The Cardinals did. I think this is a part of the lineup with Cargo. You could make it a 1-run game pretty quick. He's shown that already tonight.
Who else must be saying something that's entertaining to Johnny Herrera?
It was just a little bit. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but it was in Spanish.
After, of course, like cold hard blast. This ball was smothered to left center in his last attack. If you hit it that far and you're a right-handed hitter, you're pretty proud. Huey, that's 420 through the wind the other direction.
Yeah, not many guys can do that. This young man has the strength to do it. That was like an Albert Pujols pull into the left center field alley.
And this is ripped into right field for a base hit off of Miles' glove. Miles already had about 3 or 4 tough chances. 2 on for Giambi.
You always hear hitting coaches talk about squaring the ball up. He's done it twice now. Long swing, powerful swing, and he's had full rotation up on top. Miles Pretty happy that ball was off to the side of him and tries to track it back down. Didn't have an opportunity for a play at first. That ball was crushed.
Like he got leather on it at all.
Here's Giambi, 2 for 2. Inside. Giambi has only 17 career at-bats against the Cardinals, playing all those years in the American League. He's 8 for 17. He needs an even 500 mark. That's what I'm thinking. One and one. Giambi's at 2 games from quite a milestone. 2 games from his 2,000th career ball game. Rockies leave 2 more on. That's 8 left on in the first 4 innings. 5-2 Cardinals. Pujols will lead it off. Is brought to you by Steel and your local Steel dealers. For a location near you, visit steeldealers.com. By Old Chicago, eat, drink, be yourself. And by Exempla, most hearts, most experience, stjosephheart.org. Well, the Rockies spotted the Cardinals 3 runs, got within 3-2 on a 2-run home run from Carlos Gonzalez, and then the Cardinals scored 2 more. So it's 5-2 as we go to the 5th inning, and it's going to be a new arm out there for the Rockies. Yolis Chacin just removed from the rotation today because Jorge De La Rosa will make a start on Friday. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Pujols at the plate.
His ability to strike out people, and you saw that with the overall numbers. More than a strikeout per inning. Fits the mold for this situation for him. And this is such a valuable spot in the bullpen. 5th inning, you're down 2 or 3. The last thing you need to be is down 4 or 5. And he'll have the ability to shut down an offense and let his offense get back into a game.
So his fastball down at 93. It's a ball and 2 strikes on Pujols. Ground ball to short his first time, and then a 2-out RBI double down the 3rd base line in the 3rd. Pujols has such a terrific eye at the plate. And for one of the great power hitters of this era or any era, he does not strike out much. Leads the league in walks. Here's the 2-2. And a base hit.
Fastball up in the strike zone.
Pujols 41 strikeouts, 56 walks coming in. That's amazing. Let's take a look at another text question. How does the mindset of a pitcher change when they move to the bullpen? As Chacin likely well, he's already done deal, Mark, at least for right now.
Well, the biggest thing is you're used to pitching with 4 days rest, and you have all the in-between things, the long toss, the flat ground, the bullpen, and then rest and then make your start. The biggest adjustment is maybe pitching 3 times a week. And can your arm adapt to that? And obviously, as a young player, Chacin has the ability to go do that.
And there's different roles in the bullpen. I mean, tonight he's a long haul guy. He's best suited to be a long haul guy just coming right out of the rotation. But what if it changes dramatically, George? Now you're asked to set up. That's off Holiday's foot. It's a foul ball.
Well, for him to set up and work in the 7th, 8th inning, a lot of things are going to happen, obviously. With Betancourt, Belisle.
Well, I mean, regardless.
But the worst part, the biggest difference is day to day. Because you're going to throw 3 or 4 days in a row. You're going to throw 2 days in a row. And you're not used to that. You're used to starting and then having a day off and to do your long toss, your flat ground, your bullpen day off and start again. In a bullpen, you just play catch and get loose every day, and you shut it down pretty quick because you got to save every bullet. Because if you're pitching 3 to 4 days a week and getting into that spot, and it's an inning here, an inning there, this long relief situation, you give yourself 4 or 5 innings. It'd be nice, but you're going to pinch hit for it. But in the American League, a long guy obviously gets stretched out a lot farther.
1-2 on Holiday. 0 for 1 in an intentional walk. Pujols has 9 stolen bases, and they're going to check him out.
I wonder if he picked up something, because he had his lead, and then when Ulysses came set, he came back about a half a step.
Smart baseball player. Wouldn't surprise me.
Roberts 9 of 13 this year. Strike 3 on Holiday.
Now, Matt's very disappointed. In fact, this pitch was called a strike. We'll see if he was and why. A little bit in off of the plate, 80-mile-an-hour curveball. Seemed to freeze Holiday on the velocity of where it was.
Now, Stavinoa is done after 2 at-bats. John Jay is going to pinch hit for him. Not the former signer of the Declaration of Independence, a different John Jay. Down low.
2 for 4 in the homestand. He's got a 5-game hitting streak, 7 for 15.
Hit a home run the other night. And he's got himself another pinch hit. Pujols going to go first to third. Cardinals have 8 hits in the ball game. We'll bring up Molina.
Yadier has grounded into 11 double plays this year.
Yeah, the biggest problem for him has been hitting from.
Not going to ground into one here. He's got an RBI base hit. That was ripped up the middle. 6-2 St. Louis.
Well, right-handed, he's hit .262 against the right-handers and only a .156 against left-handers. Let's see what this pitch is from Chacin. Fastball that stayed up in the strike zone. About belt-high fastball. Didn't try to do a whole lot with it. Just tried to drive it right back up the middle, and he does it. Picks up his 32nd RBI.
Tyler Green, a base hit last time. Robbed of extra bases on a nice catch by Carlos Gonzalez back in the 3rd inning. Rockies have won 8 of 9 against St. Louis. But they're in a hole 6-2 here in the middle innings. Top of 5. 3 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 1 here in the fifth, and they're 2 on with 1 out. Tyler Green hitting better than 290 when he was called back to the big leagues this year with Memphis. Last 9 games, you can see the Rockies have just dominated. Hitting close to 300. Their pitching has held the Cardinals to a .213 batting average. They scored a lot of runs late. It was last year when the Rockies won that final ball game in Houston and then rolled through St. Louis onto Milwaukee, swept both the Cardinals and the Brewers. That's when they turned their season around in early June. It's also when Ian Stewart was going off. Player of the week in the National League last June, early June. Rockies won 11 straight. 2 balls and a strike on Green. Two.
He just gave up on that curveball.
Well, a little bit like Matt Holliday. I mean, Holliday's pitch was inside a little bit, but you watch Green, see how he raises the arms up thinking it could be fastball, and it's a chance of hitting him. It's not a very good read out of the hand of Shashin.
Swung on and missed. Tyler Green is gone. That's the second out of the inning.
Another curveball, 80 miles an hour, and put in a little better position out to force an extension, but way down in the strike zone. Watch how to get out on that front hands, and everything starts to reach out on that front foot, and reach for the baseball.
Blake Hawksworth. See, Jeff, to your point earlier, it cuts both ways. Earlier, it worked out that Hawksworth was at the plate. And now you'd love to have a position player with 2 on and 2 outs.
Yeah,
and nowhere to put him because there's runners at first and second. You know, you'd be obligated to pitch to him.
Yeah, it worked out in the third when Aaron Miles was able to get the little blue pit to start that whole inning off. But you're right. I mean, obviously Tony La Russa is a great manager, and he has a reason why he does it. And he's done it for a while now, so it's not just a gimmick that he thought, oh, this sounds good, let me run with it for 5, 7, 8 games.
Tony has an index card that he'll make periodic notes on during the ball game, and then afterward, when he unwinds, he'll look at that card, foul ball, and he says that he can basically replay all of the images, all of the key images of the game in his mind, just based on that index card and the notes he's taken. The game unfolds. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Hawksworth. A run in the inning against Chassin in relief of Francis. He wanted him to swing at that. Giants leading in the 9th inning of Milwaukee 6-0. Hard hit ball, but right at Barmes. He'll go the long left. In the inning, Poole singled, eventually brought around by Yadier Molina. 6-2 Cardinals. Cardinals up 6-2 as we go to the bottom of the fifth. Let's take a look at our Geico quote of the day from the Rockies' own Jason Hamill. He was describing the 2 home runs he gave up when he had a shutout going to the 8th inning. A one-handed, one-arm swing leaves the yard, and a 29 hopper comes around for another run. If that doesn't happen, that game's over 3 hours ago. That was his review of Sunday's ball game when he deserved a better fate. Ball game finally won by the Rockies after nearly 5.5 hours in the 15th inning on a Todd Helton sac fly. 4-3 the final. Rockies are going to have to do some rallying here tonight. They're down 6-2. Bottom of the 5th inning. Miguel Olivo will lead it off. Seth Smith, Ian Stewart to follow. Blake Hawksworth has thrown 87 pitches. His career high was his last start when he threw 89. Changeup. Take a look at the Amica hit zone on Olivo.
Well, try to pound him inside, but it's got to be down. You see those low numbers down in the strike zone. That's where he just had to swing and a miss. But you get it up in the zone, he's going to hurt you. And he did with that one.
It's a nice start to the inning. Single for Olivo.
I'll take a look at this pitch to him. Hard sinker down and in. He tries to go away with a changeup, but it was up a little bit more into the strike zone. You see this right above the knee level for him. Just slowed it down, reached out, poked it to left.
That swing wasn't quite as violent as the first swing that he took.
Strike one on Seth Smith. A couple of walks tonight. Seth has swung the bat well at home this year. .337 average. Behind 0-2.
July 7th, the first 15,000 adults 21 and over get a drink tumbler courtesy of Coors Light. St. Louis, still in town. The first 15,000 are going to get the tumbler from Coors.
And this is a base hit to center field. 2 on and nobody out for Stewart.
Well, Dave Duncan runs that pitching staff looking out into the bullpens. Nobody's up. On the Hyundai cam, trying to roll that sinker down and away from him. Molina wanted the ball in the inner half of the plate and it just rolled back out to where Smith could extend and hit a rocket right back up the middle.
I was just wondering if it was going to hang up long enough for Colby Rasmus to catch that.
Yeah, pretty shallow.
That hard.
Yeah, pretty shallow playing in center field. We talked about that earlier in the ball game.
And this will pop up to center field on the first pitch. Rasmus will make the catch, and they're going to test the arm of Rasmus, and everybody moves up. So gutsy base running by the Rockies. Smith and Olivo both move up.
Yeah, what it tells you, they did their homework on who to run on, where to run, and how far away from them, when to run. Rasmus fairly deep. Olivo gives it one pretty good look right here. The ball offline. Miguel pops up. He looks to advance. Nice job by Hawksworth to back up and be in line.
Now, do they put on Barmes with first base open and Chacin on deck?
I don't think with a 4-run lead, probably not.
Well, you wouldn't think so, and they don't do it. Strike one on Barmes. And this is a pop-up in the infield. And that's going to drift to center. Rasmus has it. And Olivo can't advance. And now, because you've had to go to your bullpen early and you've asked Chacin, you're asking to pick up numerous innings because of the short outing by Francis. You're not going to pinch hit for him here.
Well, in the innings that had to be thrown by Rogers, too, on Sunday. Through 4 innings, even though his pitch count wasn't very high, it's still 4 innings.
You hope Chacin can run into one here. However, he's got to do it off the end of the bat.
Broken bat.
Swinging bunt.
All lost in the wind, anything.
Ball lost in the sun, even though it's night.
Whatever it takes.
Rockies leave 2 more aboard. 10 left on in 5 innings, trailing 6-2.
Rockies.
Today's E470 Road Ahead brought to you by E470. Quick, easy, and available to anyone. Test drive it today. Cardinals for 2 more ball games. Thursday's an afternoon ball game here on FSN Rocky Mountain. And the Padres are in prior to the All-Star break. And Jeff Houston, one of the things I know your managers must have mentioned when you get to the final week prior to the All-Star break to keep your focus and not take your vacation before the vacation arrives.
Yeah, because it can make that vacation very long and very maddening if you decide, you know what, next week's All-Star break and you take the last 6 games off and you go 1-5 or 2-4. But knowing Jim Tracy in this club, that's not going to happen. But I've been on clubs where it has happened, and that's part of the reason why you don't play in the postseason when you take days and games off.
Yeah, it's not going to happen with this club, and it's not going to happen with Tony La Russa's club. Miles with another base hit. Aaron doesn't get a lot of starts, but Tony La Russa evidently knew what he was doing tonight. That's 2 hits and a sac fly as we check in with Mark Stafford, tonight's Great Colorado Payback Sideline Report.
Hey, guys, I'm hanging out with Evan. Evan, who should be going to the All-Star game? Miguel Olivo. We had that already planned out. Let me tell you why. I did a little research on this, and of course, Yadier Molina gets a hit in this game. He's now above 230. But coming into the midway point, there's only been 5 catchers that have gone to the All-Star game with an average of 230 or less. The last time it happened was Charles Johnson in '97. Before that, Darren Dalton of the Phillies in '95. These are all National Leaguers. Before that, Johnny Bench in '78. And twice Roy Campanella in the early '50s was hitting below 230, which is the big surprise. I know we've talked about him getting snubbed, Drew and George, and it's just hard to believe that with an average 70 points higher than Molina, he's not going. Well, and I'm not even bringing up triples either. We can get to that down the road.
But, as Jeff said earlier, he'd been with a lot of teams kind of looked at as a journeyman guy. He's having a great year. He deserves to be there. But when you're playing in St. Louis, you have the fan favorites, you have the history part of it on your side. And he is a fan favorite in St. Louis. Molina is. So he's going to get a lot of votes, and they draw big crowds on a nightly basis.
And he's been there before.
Yeah, I mean, that's I still go back. It could be a popularity contest. And, you know, remember when Rafael Palmeiro, Jeff, got a gold glove and he played 3 games at first?
Right.
That was a travesty.
Yep.
Swung on and missed. 1-1 the count on Lopez. Chassin's second inning of work in relief of Jeff Francis, who goes 4 innings, allows 5 runs on 6 hits. A couple of walks, 1 intentional. Jeff struck out 1. For Jeff, that on the heels of a 3-inning, 8-run outing at Petco Park against the Padres. Prior to that, he'd been pitching very well.
Well, the first 2 innings tonight were as good as we'd seen Jeff.
Yeah. This is his 10th start. The Rockies are 5-4 in his previous 9. 2-2. And you know De La Rosa's going to be amped up on Friday.
Yeah, he should be. And if he gets through that first inning and controls those emotions, I look for him to coast beyond that.
In the air to left field. Gonzalez is right there. One out. That'll bring up Colby Rasmus. Another text question is from Jared up in Fort Collins, who decides starting all-star pitchers and which stat is most influential. I don't know which stat Charlie Manuel will focus on, but it is up to the respective managers of the all-star team. Joe Girardi will manage the American League, and Charlie Manuel, last year the Phillies won the National League pennant. He manages the National League All-Stars. He'll make that decision.
To extend a little bit on that, I mean, baseball office has played a little bit of a role too in influencing those managers on who starts the game, along with the pitching coach. I'm sure Charlie will bring his staff, as most managers do. They deserve to go with him.
Well, when you say this is Pop Foul, when you say Major League Baseball,
Bud Selig's office.
Based on what? For what reason?
Well, they just get involved in the All-Star game. They run the All-Star game, and they get involved in it. And if Charlie said, "Hey, I want to go out and I want to start Halladay," great choice. But Bud says, "Well, I think you ought to start and reward Jimenez with this at 14-1." There is a discussion about it.
But it also goes to the point of Omar Infante making the All-Star game, because they have to pick one utility guy that can re-enter the game in case somebody gets hurt, and that's why Omar made the team.
Well, that's the same situation in the catching deal. They can reinstate the catchers now.
And that one is a bit controversial. Omar Infante is hitting over 300. However, he has only, off the top of my head, I believe it's 42 starts in 82 ball games.
Yeah, like 140-ish at bats or somewhere right around there.
To me, that guy can't be an all-star. And since we're on this topic, nobody asked me. The whole thing with Strasburg potentially being an all-star is an absolute joke. That pitch misses. Good for Jim Riggleman and Mike Rizzo, the manager and the general manager of the Washington Nationals, basically saying, he cleaned it up, they didn't call it a joke, but you know, Strasburg's made a handful of starts. He's 2-2. He's gotten a lot of press, but it'd be like you know, a rookie position player coming up a month ago and hitting 380, and because a lot of people knew his name, suggesting he should be in the All-Star game. Got to perform over the entire first half.
Well, and the other thing too, one of the 5 finalists for the final vote is Heath Bell, who saved 23 ball games for the first place San Diego Padres, and he's having to fight just to get there. And Strasburg would take his spot. I agree completely with you, Drew.
2-2 with 1 out on Rasmus, with Pujols on deck. come in. Breaking ball, and it's on the back foot. That is strikeout number 3 for Chacin. 2 gone with Miles at first, and Pujols will come up.
As a pitcher, you look to put this hard slider, because it appears to be a fastball until it gets right here. And then it drops to that back foot. It's a very difficult pitch. I think it's more difficult for left-handers to hit than to try to take a backdoor slider to the outer half of the plate.
It just disappears on you. You go to swing at it, and you cannot find it once that bat comes through the zone.
Well, typically, if you make contact with it, you're going to pull it foul, because it's biting its way into your bat.
Or you foul it off your shin.
That's the part I really like.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Did.
On Pujols. He singled last inning against Chacin. Now it's 2-0. Triple Crown winner in this decade, 2000 and 2009 in the National League. Hit more home runs, drove in more runs, and hit for a higher batting average than any player in the decade. Well, the Rockies have held him down. At least they did last year. He hit only $160 against the Rockies last year. It just looks strange. Albert Pujols' numbers associated with a sub-200 average. And of course, we break that out tonight. He's already 2 for 3, and he just walks. That'll bring up Holiday with 2 on. Matt tonight is 0 for 2 and an intentional walk.
That's a pretty good choice for a 13th round draft pick, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, what's kind of amazing, and again about Albert Pujols, see Holiday come to the plate. You know, a lot of great hitters, a lot of them, not all of them, struggle in the postseason because opposing managers pitch around you. They don't give you pitches to hit. They realize that you're the guy, and they don't want to have it happen. And you're facing the top 3 guys in a rotation. Well, Pujols has hit 4 home runs in the division series, 16 RBIs total, 8 home runs and 18 RBIs in the league championship series, 1 home run and 2 for him when he played in the World Series All-Star game. He has yet to hit one. His 13 postseason home runs.
His consistency is
off the charts.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Well, remember how many times he was getting intentionally walked until they got Matt Holiday?
Yeah, you don't see Matt take many swings like that. 1-1. He just predetermined he was hacking, huh?
Yeah, and then what you hope for as a hitter, that you don't make contact, because those are the type you just dribble back to the pitcher and you're mad at yourself.
He saw the ball away, and I think he thought it was going to be a slider, and it ended up being a fastball.
We've seen that before. Holiday hits one 20 rows up, 3-run home run, and now the Cardinals are way out in front, 9-2. For Matt, his 12th home run of the year, RBIs 40, 41, and 42. He got all of it.
Well, Holiday's one of these hitters that he sets you up to where you think you can throw the breaking ball to get him out. This was a curveball that stayed up into the strike zone, and Matt got full extension on this ball. Everybody in their dugout, and the Cardinal fans, you can see them get to their feet. You remember his last at bat, there was a curveball inner half that he took for strike 3 that he thought was a ball. Chacin showed him 4 different breaking balls in that at bat. Matt Holiday, after fastball swing and a miss away, was looking breaking ball and connected on.
Well, Chacin was not up with this club when Matt Holiday played here. And one thing that every Rockies fan knows about Matt Holiday, Jeff Houston, he is a great breaking ball hitter.
He's able to stay back and still drive the ball.
The Rockies are now down 7 runs. Matt Holliday, a 3-run jack. Welcome back to the 6th inning. Time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. It's catch by Carlos Gonzalez with the wind gusting to about 30 miles an hour. It was a nifty play earlier in the ball game. It's our Coors Light Frost Brewed Freeze Cam. Rockies down 9-2. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Jeff Hewson, and Mark Stout, new pitcher. You see Matt Holliday, a 3-run home run, his first home run in 13 games. New pitcher for the Cardinals is Kyle McClellan. And the top of the order for the Rockies, Dexter Fowler. And Dexter pulls it to first. Pujols has got it, 1 out.
McClellan, the right-hander, has worked primarily 6th, 7th innings. He's set up a little bit, but more suited for this role with the Cardinals. Overall numbers, 33rd game for him to period. Very good earned run average. Doesn't walk people, strikes out a few, doesn't give up very many home runs. First batter faced, that'll go up a little bit, near 70. Big number Drew likes to point out a lot, that opposition's average, 210.
Randy Wynn is out in right field now. Rocky's very familiar with Randy. Performed so well in a Giant uniform. Herrera base hit his last time up, 1-1.
That's what McClellan likes to do, get a lot of ground ball outs. Well, when you double switch, what you want to do is try to maximize. So what our text question is, how does a double switch work? When is a good time to use it? Well, when it gives you a better result and you can extend your pitcher out a little bit. And what they did in this situation is put the pitcher McClellan right behind Holliday, as John Jay made the last out, and now you put Randy Wynn down your order. You could buy a couple of innings out of McClellan before you have to go down and make a change with him. But that's what you're trying to do, is buy more innings for your pitcher.
One 1-0 on Gonzalez. Cargo a couple of hits, including a 2-run home run in the 3rd. It's the entire Rockies offense tonight. There have not been many ball games that the Rockies have fallen way behind in. Pitching's been that good this year.
The difference tonight too is the Cardinals have scored 6 of their 9 runs with 2 outs. Just haven't been able to get that last out. Then they've come up with the big hit.
Bob Apodaca and the 22-year-old Yoli Chassin.
It's not so much what Bob's talking about to him about a delivery. It's more about what was your pitch selection.
This ball driven to deep center field. Rasmus not going to get it. You know what, Jeff? You're at field level. Rasmus plays shallow, and that ball was hit even harder than he thought.
And that's why he didn't get a very good jump. I don't think he understands just kind of power that Carlos Gonzalez has. Another shot from the Hyundai cam, and this one was down and away, unlike the one he hit to left center field where it was up more. This one goes, he has to go down to get it, and really that ball just took off low and just kept riding higher over the top of Kobe Rasmus in center field. Whereas all I can do is play it off the wall.
Well, and I wonder too, Jeff, he plays shallow, and I'm wondering too, you know, the first couple of days at altitude, sometimes it takes outfielders a little more work to get the break of the ball off the bat to see how far it was going to travel. How was it hit?
Two outs, Giambi, a couple of singles and 3 trips tonight. Rockies have 9 hits. But they have left 28 on base in the last game and a half. Excuse me, 30 on base in the last game and a half. 20 on Sunday. They've left 10 on tonight. We like to say they've left a small village on. That's a county. They've left a county on base the last game and a half. Just 6 runs. And the 3-0 is in there 3-1. A reminder, if you have windshield issues, call Safelite Elite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, online at safelite.com. And 2 on now for Miguel Oliva. This will frustrate Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa. You have a large lead, and the only way the Rockies can get back in is if you create additional traffic. And they have great respect for the Rockies lineup. And that's why Dave Duncan's going to jog on out and talk to Kyle McClellan. While they converse, we'll look at another text question. Email the booth or text the booth tonight. OfficeLiquidators.com presents it every Tuesday. Do you think Cargo has a chance to be a 30-30 guy? How many 30-30 guys have the Rocks had? That's from Reyes in Denver. He absolutely has that kind of ability. He's on pace, Reyes, to be a 30-30 guy perhaps this year. He has 12 stolen bases. He has 15 home runs. We're about at the midway point tonight. Game number 83, and Larry Walker was certainly that kind of player. You know, thinking back, Ellis Burks was a 30-30 guy in a Rockies uniform. Dante Bichette did it. We forget Dante stole some bases. Dante did it back in '96, the same year Burks did it. Walker did it in '97. You know, Matt Holliday was close to doing it. Matt had 28 stolen bases one year.
Cargo is just a special kind of talent. That's going to be a ball in the dirt. Shoots by Molina. He just tried to backhand it, but he didn't try to block it. So watch what happens on this pitch. It's going to be a breaking ball hard, and he just tried to pick this thing to come up with it. He didn't even put an effort to blocking it, to drop to the knees to keep it there. Wanted that ball down and away, but about a foot out in front of the plate. Not an easy pitch to block. Like to see taken off the chest to the back of the glove.
Two and one. This ball is driven to right center field, fairly deep, and it is gathered in on the warning track by Randy Wynn. So the Rockies leave runners at second and third. They trail it 9-2. Lexus looked back. Cardinals in the third inning got a 2-run home run from Felipe Lopez, his 5th of the year. Then Albert Pujols pulls a pitch that was really down below his knees, down the third base line for an RBI double. Albert's got a couple of hits tonight. Rockies would get within a run on a 2-run home run from Carlos Gonzalez. He has a single double and a home run tonight. And then Matt Holliday, his first home run at Coors Field since he was a member of the Rockies, and hit one in mid-September of 2008. Yadier Molina at the plate. First pitch was a strike. The second pitch is out of the zone, so it's 1-1. Yoli Chassin's third inning of work. Chassin has given up 4 runs in the first 2 innings. That look back again brought to you by Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address. Go see them on Broadway in Littleton. Yadier, talking about his average and his defensive prowess, whether or not he was all-star worthy, especially in front of Miguel Olivo. He's a career 265 hitter. And with 2 hits tonight, his average just at 231. So he's beneath the standard that he has set. I'll tell you what, he can receive the baseball and he can throw. In the air to right. Tyler Green will come up. Let's take a look at another text question. How is Tulo's wrist looking? Well, Tulo's wrist is coming along. Talked to Troy for a while around the batting cage. He's swinging the bat. He says it looks ugly. He's not swinging out on the field. He's swinging the bat in the cage a little bit, and it's weak right now. But he went out and took ground balls on the field today. Here's a ground ball to Barmes, who's taking his place at short. And he said it felt great taking ground balls. And I think all that's good news, Huey.
It is. It was so nice to see him out there taking the ground balls. He had his wrist taped, though. But just to be able to go out there and see the action of fielding a ground ball, that was nice to see. Because I don't think, 3 or 4 days ago when I was talking to him, that was even going to be a possibility this week. I mean, that's how much he's progressed. Now, that being said, it's still going to be, I would say, at least 3 or 4 weeks before we would see him at the major league level again.
Troy will get the honor of being part of all of the festivities in Anaheim a week from tonight as a member of the National League All-Star. Just because he's hurt, he'll still be in uniform, and he'll do everything but play. And he's very much looking forward to that. His first All-Star appearance. It will be the first of, I'm sure, many for Tulowitzki.
I think the neat thing about that, too, is that his peers recognized it. And that wasn't a vote, that just a popularity kind of. They knew, looking at his numbers, that this guy deserved to go. They did their homework on Troy.
Yep. Comebacker Randy Wynn is going to be retired by Chassin. A 1-2-3 inning, the 7th. And for the Rockies, that's the first since Francis got the side in order in the second. 9-2. Colorado Rockies baseball on FSN is brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters. Be big and donate your car. You get a free tow and tax break, and you'll help change a kid's life. By Old Chicago. Eat, drink, and be yourself. And by the great Colorado Payback, reuniting you with your money. Cardinals have Trevor Miller out on the hill here in the 7th inning. 1 inning from Kyle McClellan. And Seth Smith is yet to be retired. He's got a couple of walks and a base hit as he leads things off for the Rockies in the bottom of the 7th inning. Rockies trailing 9-2.
Miller, a left-handed specialist. That's why he's in now to face Smith, Stewart, the two lefties. You can see just 30 appearances now and just 20 innings pitched. Doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't give up a lot of hits either. Just a couple of home runs.
Two-strike count, 37-year-old Trevor Miller. Hey, however, you got to keep that AB alive, huh, Huey?
Yeah, and we saw Seth Smith the other day in the game against the Giants to have almost the same identical swing, but he had a broken bat single out in the left center field. Trevor Miller dropped down on this one, and you just got to fight it off sometime. He just took that top end off and just tried to whack at it.
And that's not easy to do.
No. You want to talk about keeping that front side in all you want, but sometimes that backside's leaving. You need to be able to foul it off still.
Two balls, two strikes. Stewart and Barmas to follow. Rockies have left 12 on tonight. In fairness, a couple of times with 2 outs, a bunch of base runners were out there and the pitcher was up. That's a solid single. Smith's had a nice night. Good swing left on left. Time for tonight's Quest high-speed pitch. We go back to the starting pitchers. Hawksworth hit 96, Francis 89. Brought to you by Quest, the high-speed internet provider of the Colorado Rockies. Ian Stewart, a strikeout, a walk, and a fly ball to center field. Rockies 3-1 on this homestand. Cardinals in for 3, and then the Padres before the All-Star break. Like what Jim Tracy said the other day, you know, we've got the record is 6 games above 500, and that's where they are right now. He said the next milestone is get it to double digits.
Well, he's trying to instill that mindset into his team too. I mean, that's what he's trying to tell them. This is the mindset you need to have.
The Rockies are unable to rally with 9 outs to work with, and it's a tall order being down by 7 runs. This will be somewhat of a missed opportunity because in the next 2 days you're going to see top shelf pitching. Jaime Garcia has an ERA in the low 2s.
Well, to tell you how,
and then Chris Carpenter against Jimenez on Thursday.
Tell you how good that trio Drew's talking about. Mix Wainwright in with it. They're 33-19 when these 3 guys pitch. Carpenter, Wainwright, and Garcia. When they don't, 12-18. Manuel Corpus starting to loosen up to come on and pitch the 8th inning.
Goes to the backstop. Smith will move up on the wild pitch. fouled off. We have another text question concerning Taylor Buchholz's rehab, coming off Tommy John surgery now 13 months ago. How's he doing? Well, in his last 6 outings, he's pitched 6 innings. He's allowed a couple of runs. His last outing was pretty clean. That was yesterday. But the velocity's not all the way back. He's been basically working about 90 inside. And of course, Jeff, 2 years ago, and George, when he was the best setup, one of the 2 best setup men with Carlos Marmol in the National League, he was 93 to 96.
Well, much different too to have to try to pitch without that velocity. He's still, most of the outs he's getting now is on that yellow hammer, the good curveball.
And this is going to die just foul. So what Stewart had I guess a great angle, because he never really ran, but it wasn't fouled by that much.
You know when you're standing in the box what's going to happen, especially the lefty. When you slice it over that way, it's going to hook even more, or slice even more, away from the line. Right off the end of the bat, almost the same identical swing that we saw Seth Smith have to try to foul a ball off. The same thing there, but just about a foot foul. That was a little bit closer than I.
Yeah, I would have been. I would have thought you'd been busting it pretty good right there.
Yeah, from my angle, it looked like it was about 3 or 4 feet foul.
That may have not been a full foot.
Yeah, you might want to run next time on that one, just in case.
Stewart battling away. Smith at second, nobody out. Rockies down 7 runs as they hit here in the bottom of the 7th. And this should drop for a base hit. Richie Dower will stop Smith at third. It's a good strong at bat from Stewart, left on left.
Really good at bat. All the balls he fouled off. Nasty pitches from Miller.
Now Barmes, who kept his hitting streak alive in his first at bat with an infield single. 13 games in a row now, a base hit at least. Many of those games he's had multiple hits for number 12.
Well, Tony La Russa just gave the signal to Molina to go out and talk to Trevor Miller.
Yeah, I was trying to see who the right-hander was that was throwing down in their bullpen, and he walked out a couple of times. Tony wanted to make sure everybody's all right down there. They'll go make the switch and get Miller out of there. Looks like Mott. Yeah, hard throwing Mott. I mean, this guy's got some gas.
Yeah, Tony's managed too many games at Coors Field, and he's managed enough games in the last few years against the Rockies. They've lost 8 of 9. He has the utmost respect for the Rockies' ability to come back, so he's not taking any chances. Let's take a look at our Breaks Plus poll of the game. pitcher hitting other than last. Tony La Russa does it. What do you think of it? Yes, we like it at home. 49%, 51% don't like it. Well, it works for Tony La Russa. Clint Barmas with 2 on will face Jason Mott. This is all you need to know about Mott. He's going to come after you about 80% of the time with 1 pitch, and that's an overpowering heater.
It is overpowering. I tell you, that is 98 miles an hour. His overall record in the big leagues, 4-4. He only has 1 save, but at the minor league level, 28 saves. He's yet to start a game in his career, major league or minor league.
He will hit triple digits. And Varmus hits it to shallow right center field, and coming on is Randy Wynn, late to make the catch. And now the Rockies will go to Chris Iannetta here. Somewhat interesting because Jim Tracy doesn't ordinarily do this, Jeff Houston. Doesn't usually have his backup catcher utilized unless it's like the 15th inning or the 14th inning. He pinch hit finally Miguel Olivo on Sunday, who did not start.
Well, I think the only thing he's thinking is, okay, if I go to my other righty, which is Melvin Moore, and I have an middle infielder guy get hurt, or Ian Stewart's elbow, whatever it may be, I don't have anybody left unless I move Chris Iannetta over to third base.
Well, what about Helton or Hop?
Well, they can't play the middle of the infield. That's what I'm saying. That position.
That's pretty good pickup at short, and Iannetta easily beats the throw. So nice fielding play by Tyler Green. RBI for Iannetta, as Smith scores 9-3.
And as far as the other 2 guys, Drew, as we look at the replay off the bat of Chris Iannetta, this was a good play by Tyler Green to go to the backhand, make the feed over, and get Aaron Miles. Just can't get Chris Iannetta down the line. But to go back to the other point, you're not using Hopper Helton. Both those guys have nagging injuries, and in a 9-3 or 9-2 ball game at that time, why put them in there? Let them rest, continue to rest.
Yeah, makes sense. And also give another at bat to build on a bunch of at bats Sunday for Chris Iannetta. I'm sure Jim Tracy thinking about that as well. And Iannetta on Sunday hit a home run. He had a base hit. He walked 3 times in the game, so let him continue with perhaps the good feeling of what he brought out of Sunday's contest. Two outs for Dexter. Out at first base. So the Rockies scratch out a run. It's now 9-3 as we played 7 innings at Coors Field. Well, learn the game of baseball the blue-collar way with Clint Barmas on Rockies All Access. That comes your way this Thursday night at 7 p.m. See how Clint attributes his success on the field to his father and looks forward to sharing the baseball tradition with his son. Barmas also takes his love of teaching the game to a local high school ballpark, serving as an example of how hard work pays off on the field. Again, that's Rockies All Access this Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on FSN Rocky Mountain. Aaron Miles at the plate, and Manuel Corpus is in the ballgame. We have a new third baseman. He takes ground balls there every day, Jeff Houston, but he's only been there on one other occasion in the big leagues.
I was back in San Francisco for that 1 inning or 2 innings.
That's a tough chance. Good job by Barmas. He had to charge it. He was able to come up with the baseball and throw out Aaron Miles.
Well, let's look at Corpus's numbers. They've gotten ugly of late. Just run into a run of bad luck. 40th appearance for him to appear in. Earned run average jumped near to 5 now. 44 innings, still just 41 hits.
Four runs in 3 innings allowed by Chacin on 5 hits. He walked 1 and struck out 3. In that ball game for Chris Iannetta against the Giants in April of 2008, he had a couple of chances. He had an assist and a putout. So Iannetta, who's obviously a big, strong guy, 6 foot, 230, 235 pounds, but he's a good athlete. And Jeff, you and I watch him take ground balls, George, every day at third. And if you watch him, if you didn't know his background, you wouldn't think, boy, he looks awkward. He handles himself fine.
Well, that's because his feet. I mean, his feet work pretty well over there. So he said, why not? And he probably works as hard as anybody that takes ground balls, no matter where they take him. But over at third base, he says, hey, who knows? I might get an opportunity now to get a few more at bats. And Jim Tracy has said it much. If he can go over there and do that. And it also gives Ian Stewart a chance to get off and get that elbow, some ice on that elbow, and get ready maybe for tomorrow. Or who knows, with the lefty going tomorrow, what kind of lineup Jim Tracy might throw out there tomorrow.
Colby Rasmus with 2 outs.
That's a good point, Jeff, because he may go with Iannetta at third and then Moore at first. And Moore at first.
That's why this ball's fouled off. If you have one of those jack of all trades, kind of where you can have 2.5 catchers. For instance, San Francisco has that because Pablo Sandoval can go and catch for you. And I think back to a guy who was briefly a Rocky, but really made an impact with the Cardinals for Tony La Russa not a number of years ago, but several years back. Eli Morera. I mean, that's such a huge bonus.
Well, it's a huge bonus. You got a guy that can play in the field, and when you really multiply it out and you throw it out there, if he can get in the outfield for you. And again, that's a huge plus because now it allows you to double switch and do some things in the game you normally wouldn't do.
And the whole key with that is if you have a number 2 catcher that has a significant enough bat that you really want to get him more playing time. 1-2-3 inning for Corpus in the 8th. Jonathan Herrera will lead it off for the Rockies, 9-3 St. Louis. Today's game summary brought to you by Ecotech Institute in Denver, where you can make the world your workplace. Well, the Rockies fell behind 3-0. They got within a run on a 2-run home run from Carlos Gonzalez, but then the Cardinals got 2 more against Jeff Francis. Jeff went only 4 innings, and they scored 4 in 3 innings against Yolis Chassin. The Rockies have left a bunch on base, despite the hits being all even. The runs are not. 9-3 St. Louis. Jonathan Herrera will face another former Rocky, Dennis Reyes. Got a guy that's been around for a while. Reyes is among the top 10 active pitchers in appearances now. 2-0. Herrera, Gonzalez, and Giambi. Five innings of work for Blake Hawksworth, who's in position to win for the 3rd time. Gave up 2 runs on 8 hits. He walked 4, struck out 5. And Herrera walks to lead things off in the 8th inning in front of Gonzalez. Rockies have received 6 walks in this ball game. Who Wants Tacos? Fans, if you'd like to receive text message alerts when the Rockies score 7 or more runs for the Rockies Taco Special, text the keyword taco to 95323. Feed your Rockies fever only at Taco Bell. Cargo is a triple shy of the cycle tonight. 2-run home run in the 3rd, single in the 4th, and a double off the base of the center field wall in the 6th.
Well, All-Star voting isn't over just yet, and everybody knows about this. A lot of people have voted already. But vote online July 4th through the 8th for the final 2 All-Star spots, one on the American League, one on the National League. And again, it ends on the 8th. If you want to get Cargo in, the way to do it is go to MLB.com or ColoradoRockies.com and place your vote.
Well, here are the final 5. You could vote for Carlos Gonzalez, as George said. Heath Bell, Cargo, Joey Votto, Billy Wagner, and Ryan Zimmerman. Cargo is in 4th place after a couple of days of voting. So hit the ballot boxes. I did a few innings ago, and in Chicago political style, George, I voted more than once.
Well, I was going to ask you, who'd you vote for?
I voted for the 2nd guy on that list. But I will say this. Joey Votto is a legitimate MVP candidate. It's a travesty that he's not there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heath Bell is part of what has been the best pitching staff in baseball this year. They don't have one representative.
Billy Wagner saving games for the league leader, National League East leaders, the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I mean, they're all deserving. The roster's sometimes not big enough, but this guy is an all-star. And it's, whether he makes it or not, and I hope he does, but it's not going to be the last time he's in position.
I hope they, and again, Billy Wagner's a very good pitcher. He's had a long career, but it's also his last year. He said he's retiring at the end of this year. Sentimental value. Do you go out on an all-star team? Do you get the votes for that? I'm sure Atlanta, as the Milwaukee Brewers a couple of years ago, put on the big PR push for Corey Hart, and he got in.
And a good pitch. Strikes out Gonzalez. Jeff, you wanted to chime in, I know, on that.
Well, I was just going to say the problem with Carlos Gonzalez and some of the other guys is that where you have to take a representative from every team, and Michael Bourne from the Houston Astros was picked. He's an outfielder. I mean, that's where you run into some of the problems. Some of the one pick from a team, they were outfielders, and that's what happened with Carlos Gonzalez.
What's your thought on that? And both you guys, former big league players. Here's Giambi. It's going to be a double play. Tell us next inning. All right. You have 90 seconds to think about that, George and Jeff. Cardinals are up 9-3. We're off to the 9th inning at Coors Field on a Tuesday night. local and long distance, call 1-800-COMCAST. By Dex One, marketing solutions, business results. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Salt in theaters July 23rd. This ball game hasn't gone the way the Rockies would have liked so far, down 9-3, or Tom Helmer would like. Tom?
No, we prefer to have the Rockies on top. We'll talk about Cardinals sin. Jeff Francis struggles against the Redbirds tonight. We'll talk about extended Holiday. Matt Holiday really got a hold of one tonight. We'll talk about his offensive performance. And, of course, vote for Cargo. Carlos Gonzalez just a triple short of the cycle tonight, doing everything he can to garnish votes. We'll talk about his performance as well right after the ball game. Drew?
All right, Tom, listen up. You may not know this as Corpus gets ready to go. Some of the Home Run Derby participants have been named, and you have to accept. Well, one of them is the guy who will hit after Albert Pujols, Matt Holiday. He's been in a Home Run Derby before. He's been asked to do it, and he is accepted. So we know Matt. And also Corey Hart of Milwaukee will represent the National League.
I thought it was pretty cool. Matt had his brother Josh come in and throw it for him in San Francisco.
I asked Josh about that when that happened, and he said he was so nervous.
Sure you are. You got 50,000 people standing there hooting and hollering. You got to throw the perfect strike, try to hit a home run for your brother.
For your brother. Millions watching at home, right?
Exactly. That's got to be running through the back of your mind as well.
I'll tell you what, if Matt hangs in there long enough, that's a strike on Pujols, 2-1. If Matt hangs in there long enough, you know where I'm going. Yeah. Jackson, his oldest son, is with him, and Jackson is a baseball prodigy. I mean, he was hitting balls around the clubhouse when he was 2 years old. This may leave the ballpark foul. Almost. But you know what? Jackson may throw BP to death one day in a home run derby. The American League participants, Big Papi, David Ortiz, Miguel Cabrera, who's had a gorgeous season, Robinson Cano's had a terrific year, and Vernon Wells, who's had a bounce-back year. Good job by Corpus to get the great Albert Pujols. 1 out. And that'll bring up Holiday. Tonight's delivery of the game is brought to you by Jimmy John's. It was a 6-2 ball game last time Matt came to the plate in the 6th inning. And he, with one swing of the bat, made it a huge lead for St. Louis. His 12th home run of the year. So the two protagonists in that winter deal before the 09 season have both homered tonight. Carlos Gonzalez for the Rockies, Matt Holiday for St. Louis. I don't think we're going to see Houston Street tonight. One of the other prominent members of that deal. 2-0.
Well, why don't you think about this? You receive $10 to $15 in free concessions with power tickets, and they're available for all the rest of the ball games. It's a pretty good deal.
2-1. Dougie just handed me a note.
Dougie does a lot. So you said his name, I said his name, so that's $2.
Yeah. Doug Marino does a terrific job researching.
Okay, you kissed him enough. Let's go. What note did he give you?
Got to do that. Well, he said he did a little homework online. He said Roger Clemens evidently is going to throw to his son Kobe in the AA Texas League All-Star Home Run Derby.
That was last week.
Oh, it was later. Already happened?
Yeah, it's already happened.
Oh, June 30th. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the date.
You didn't look at the other note.
Dougie, you gonna hand me? Dougie, hand me an accurate note, please.
He did.
He did. Oh. You got to read it.
Well, he had the date last.
There's two notes. Well, there's 2 notes on there. You got 2 pages of notes.
That's a good note, Doug.
That's $4.
I knew that. Didn't that happen last week?
Well, last week.
Oh. How did Kobe do? He was 0 for 6 against his old. Was he throwing the splitter?
I think also there was. I'd have to look back, but I think there was 5 or 6 Tulsa Drillers that were on that All-Star squad.
How about this? Big Sweat is going to get a nickname. for Dennis Reyes.
How many bats does he have, Dougie? Come on.
He's 074 in his career. He's got some. Look out. Sweat on the hands, Jeff, and the bat went flying.
You don't see that on a cool night too often.
Jose Kendo's got to be cracking up. That whole dugout's cracking up.
Well, you can see why he's hitting 074. He was looking to the right, thinking the ball went off that way. Bat's going the other way.
55th at bat for him. He does have a double. 25 strikeouts. But he hadn't had a lot of practice lately. Just one at bat since 2005. And this is it.
2-2.
Started his career in 1993 in Mexico City. Went to Vero Beach, back to Mexico City.
Himself a full count.
Quit tapping your spikes. Just get in. Now, don't get crazy with this bat.
I like when they step out, Jeff, on a 3-2 pitch and 2 outs and look down at the third base coach.
Like, what sign's he going to give him?
He got it in play. 1-2-3 inning in the 9th for Corpus. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th, 9-3 St. Louis. Telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Other than that ball game last week in San Diego where the Rockies lost 13-3, there have not been many that I can recall, fellas, where the Rockies got themselves in such a deep rut that it looked like an impossible road. Tonight's turned into one of those nights, down 9-3 with 3 outs left.
Well, again, it's a very good bullpen. 321 earned run average when they came in to tonight's play. Ranked very high in the National League.
Second inning of work for Reyes, Miguel Oliva, Seth Smith, Ian Stewart. Miguel with a base hit his last, back in the 5th inning. It's 1 for 4. Hit a ball to deep right field his last time up. Rockies have 11 hits. 5th straight ball game in double figures in hits. That's a first this year. They had 12 hits in each of the 4 games against the Giants. A second hit tonight from Miguel Oliva. Atlanta won tonight 6-3 over Philadelphia. Washington beat the Padres. That's good news. 6-5.
Yeah, Ryan Zimmerman, a walk-off.
Yeah, he had 2 home runs in that ball game for Washington. The Mets got a shutout from Johan Santana. They beat Cincinnati 3-0. Houston beat the Pirates 6-2. Cardinals will be excited to see that Cincinnati score. The Giants beat Milwaukee 6-1. That's not good. Cubs are beating Arizona 6-2 in the 8th, and the Dodgers in the 5th hammering Florida 6-0. Seth Smith's been perfect tonight. 2 hits and 2 walks. And that is a bullet at Pujols. You can't hit it any harder than that. 1 out.
Well, the other thing, too, is because of the large lead, Albert Pujols is playing behind the base runner. If not, this ball is by him if he's just coming off the bag. It's a base hit, but instead it's a hard line out.
In the pitcher spot in the 7 hole, Melvin Mora will hit.
And a right-handed batter, so Pujols will hold on Olivo because the closer you can hold him, obviously, with a left-hander, better chance to turn a double play over all the ground.
Yeah, just a base hit to right by Mora. And Miguel Olivo will go first to third. Well, Jeff, you mentioned Jaime Garcia going tomorrow. Melvin Mora, in all likelihood, will play. Nice to get an AB for him late on a Tuesday night, even if the Rockies don't pull off the miracle.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of managers will try to do. The night before you're going to start, then they want to try to get you an at-bat, and this was a perfect opportunity for Melvin to get that at-bat.
Now, just like the fact of getting Corpus into the game and getting him a couple innings of work with not any pressure. To try to get him on track, he got a couple of innings and pitched well tonight.
Clint Barmas 1 for 4. He's got a 13-game hitting streak.
Got a closer Franklin up with a 6-run ball game. You mentioned earlier, Tony has managed a lot of games here. Not going to let this thing get away from him, particularly with the New York Mets beating Central Division leading Cincinnati Reds 3-0 tonight.
It's 3-0 on Barnes. That's nowhere close. Goes to the screen. Here comes Olivo. And it's 9-4. 2 on, 1 out. With Iannetta coming up.
Let's look at this pitch, see where this ball hit. Yeah, this was poorly received by Molina. On the Hyundai cam, you can see it. He just puts the glove over on it, and it cut and went by the glove, went all the way back to the fence. Tony will go out, slow walk out, and bring in the right-hander Franklin.
He scored a pass ball.
And I think that's the right call, too.
9-4 the score. Here comes Ryan Franklin when we come back. Cards 9, Rockies 4. Rockies trying to make things interesting here in the 9th inning. There's one out. They have Moore at second. He singled. Barmes just walked. Oliva, who singled, came around on the pass ball a moment ago by Yadier Molina. Chris Iannetta, who pinch hit and stayed in the ballgame at third base for just the second time in his career, will face Ryan Franklin. This is not a save situation.
31st appearance for him, 216 earned run average. Not a guy that strikes out a lot of people, but he induces a lot of ground ball outs. Very, very good at first batter efficiency. Sitting out in the bullpen in a 9-2 game. I'm not sure he was probably planning on being out here in the 9th inning. He'll throw strikes. Sinker, slider, changeup. Works the outer half of the plate a lot.
Want to know on Iannetta. The irony of this night, George. You know, it's all about pitching. The Rockies have 13 hits tonight. That's more than any game they had in the Giants series, and they had a lot. They had 12 hits in each of the Giants in the ball games against the Giants. They won 3 of 4. Tonight they're down 5 runs with 13 hits. Dexter Fowler on deck. Garcia, Aaron Cook tomorrow. Just missed 2-2.
Well, yeah, of course, in the pitcher's mind right now, he's saying, how did you not swing at this thing? He did catch the strike zone, 76-mile-an-hour curveball. After a couple of hard pitches, hard slider, and a good fastball.
Right in the corner of the Ford strike zone, 2-2.
It worked him away the whole time. I wonder if they'll try to bust him in with the fastball.
Well, he does occasionally, Jeff, but most of the time Franklin likes to work the outer half of the plate and everything moving away from the hitter. There's your choice. Fastball in after a strike. Started out well ahead, and then now the count at full 3-2.
Tell you what, if he loses Iannetta, it really gets interesting. You have Fowler on deck, and then the potential tying run would be in the on-deck circle.
And that's when you would see probably Brad Hott.
Yeah. This ball crushed to left field. It is gone. Who knows what's in store now? 3-run home run, Chris Iannetta.
I mentioned earlier, Franklin hadn't given up an awful lot of home runs this season. He gives up a big one here. This ball got smoked. The second home run he'd given up. Iannetta, a little fist pump, deservedly so. 5th home run for Iannetta, and 11 RBIs now. Let's guess what, folks? Put a few guys on. You got a pretty good baseball game working.
Herrera's in that on-deck circle for the time being. Johnny's been great. And as Fowler takes ball 1. But you got to believe Brad Hott has got a helmet on. We're going to spy that dugout, the bat rack closely in a moment.
Well, I was just looking down there. I saw Jim talk to Brad off camera just a second ago, and that's why Brad has the bats right now.
1 ball, 1 strike. Now the Rockies have hit the magic number of 7. We've got tacos, fans. The Rockies with the 7 runs. Make sure you go by participating Taco Bell locations tomorrow between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special. Here's the 1-1. Strike two. That ball didn't travel in the air a long time. The ball hit by Chris Iannetta.
It cut through the teeth of the wind.
He's a strong young man. This ball is hit well to right with top spin. It is off the base of the wall. Fowler in the second with a double. Tying run will come up and Brad Hop.
Again, trying to dip that ball down in the strike zone. Looked like a breaking ball or changeup. Hyundai Cam showed that. Dexter just dropped the head on it and drove it. He's driving the ball with his hands down with more authority than I've seen him since he came to the big leagues.
That ball really played tricks on Randy Wynn out in right field, too.
I don't think he thought it was hit that hard, but he didn't get back on it at all.
He did a little spin on it, too.
Raise your hand at home if you thought the Rockies would get the tying run to the plate, trailing 9-3 in the ninth.
They'd still only have one out.
And there's no parachute. This is their guy. This is their closer, Ryan Franklin. He's faced two hitters. Iannetta hit one 400 feet. And Dexter Fowler just hit one 370. Carlos Gonzalez on deck. There's one out. Home run hack, 1-1.
Hop 1 for 3 against Franklin. Got a fastball outer half. Hit a pretty good bite to it.
Guy's got that natural lift in his swing. Brad had a 2-run pinch hit single a couple of days ago. Because of that injury to the ribs, his playing action the last few days has been limited to the pinch hitting role, so he's getting a little more familiar with it. The Rockies' everyday right fielder. That man is on deck. 9-7 St. Louis. Two and two.
Location. That's what it's all about. Took a lot off of the pitch and just dove to that outside half.
This is where Brad Jeff's been so good over the last couple of years, changing the approach and making sure he can get the ball in play.
And that's where the shorter late kick also helps too, not the big high one.
This is a tough play for the shortstop, Green, and out at first. Close play.
What a pick from Albert Pujols.
No argument from either Brad Hop or Glenn Allen Hill, the first base coach.
Well, right off the end of the bat, so now you got to come all the way in here and get a left-handed bat too. I mean, Green made a nice play on this snap throw over. And he is out. And when he did, when he picked it, you know, look on the Hyundai cam and just take a shot at it and just see exactly what it is. He got him.
Yeah, but that's not an easy pick. That was a very tough pick for Albert because it was the in-between one.
Well, no left-handers left in their bullpen. Drew mentioned parachute. Well, the next two guys both left-handed. Both guys that can leave the yard in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and, you know, you say, well, if you're Tony La Russa, it goes against conventional wisdom to put the tying run on base and bring the potential winning run to the plate, especially in a guy like Giambi. For Gonzalez, will stride to the plate. He's had a large night. 2-run home run in the third, a single in the fourth, And a 415-foot double in the 6th inning. The Rockies leading hitter in terms of home runs and RBIs. The potential all-star Carlos Gonzalez. 2 outs. Fowler at third.
We talked about how shallow the outfielders were. Now they're pretty deep. 4th strike zone caught looked like the bottom part of it. Might have been inside just a hair.
Yeah, this outfield is very deep. Not to have anything hit over their head.
Trying to run the ball in on Gonzalez.
Cut fastball at 90. Appears to be a changeup down and away on the outer half of the plate. Foot finger at 83 miles an hour. You see come right out of his hand, more of a knuckleball than anything, and then right at that last second, dove just behind home plate.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Gonzalez. 4 runs in the 9th here for the Rockies. It's going to drop for a base hit. It's 9-8. And that'll bring up Giambi.
'55th RBI for Gonzalez on the year.
You also open up that hole, Jeff Houston, as you look at the swing again, because you have to hold them on if you're Albert Pujols.
Split finger that stayed out over the plate for Gonzalez, and he was able to get it to last in the dirt. Trying to swing at it, not this one.
You're right. Now the bigger holes now in the infield.
Giambi, the go-ahead or winning run, if you will. 3 home runs this year for Giambi.
It's starting to rain down here, too. We're going to worry about some raindrops coming off that helmet.
One strike to count, 2 outs. Rockies within a run. This ball is drilled to right center field. And it skips for a moment past Randy Wood. They're going to send Gonzalez. Here comes Cargo. No throw. Rockies have tied it up. The Rockies have tied it up with 6 in the 9th.
All it took was for a bobble, but with 2 outs, Gonzo's on the run. Tony La Russa can't believe what's happened in this ball game. Let's take a look at this pitch from Ryan Franklin. Fastball inner half, about thigh high. I think he thought all along this ball would get caught by Randy Wynn. I don't think he got a very good jump on it, Jeff. You may have had a better look at it. But once he bobbled it twice, it was over.
Yeah, the last 2 times, though, playing no doubles, both those balls would have been caught if you're in your normal depth.
Miguel Olivo, ball 1. The largest 9th inning deficit the Rockies have ever overcome or beyond is 4 runs on 3 occasions, the last being in August of 2007 against the Nationals. I was waiting for this move. Aaron Cook, the personal caddy for Jason Giambi, will run.
I think Jim Tracy was just making sure he had enough guys left to be able to play different positions with all the pinch hitting and everything that's going on.
Well, that's one thing you got to look at right now. I mean, the only guy he's got left, Todd Helton.
Ground ball toward the hole. That's going to sneak through. And Cook is going to go first to third. Now the winning run is 90 feet away for Seth Smith, who's been retired one time tonight, and that was on a rocket to Albert Pujols earlier this inning.
Well, look again, this ball's away from him, just throws his bat at it on the Hyundai cam and just slices it through the right side of the infield.
Tomorrow's starting pitcher, Jeff Husey, could score the winning run.
How about that
tonight?
Well, and it could be on a wild pitch or a pass ball, too. I mean, that's the other thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a base hit. The way this inning is played out, something crazy could happen.
2 wild pitches on the year for Ryan Franklin.
And the right man at the plate, Mr. Late Night from a year ago, Seth Smith. You mentioned wild pitch or pass ball. I've seen Yadier Molina catch better games than he has tonight. There've been a couple that have shot past him. One scored a wild pitch, one scored a pass ball, and the one that was scored a wild pitch, he tried to backhand a breaking ball. It was right in front of him.
Oh, man, now the next pitch is going to be the 25th for Franklin.
That's low, 2-0. Melvin Moore is on deck. And somehow Franklin loses Smith. Roy Seth with an ideal count. 2-0 to Franklin.
Moore's not the guy he wants. 7 for 14 with a home run in their matchups.
Line drive foul. Not everyone is stuck around. Rarely does that happen when the home team is down by 6 runs entering the 9th inning. But they may have pulled over to the side of the road of the drive home if they're listening.
That's what you get for leaving a ball game early.
And if you're watching at home, you're not sitting on the couch now. I know you're standing. Here's the 2-1. Aaron Cook 90 feet away. That's in there. 2-2. You know, it's interesting for me, Jeff, is that Kobe Rasmus has played a shallow center field the whole game. He's not exceptionally deep now, but he's moved back enough. And with that wind floating around, there's plenty of room for a Texas leaguer to drop.
Oh, yeah. All you need to do is fist one over the head of the infielders.
Here's the 2-2. This ball high and deep. The Rockies have done it. How about a 9th spot in the 9th? Are you kidding me? Don't beat him up too bad. Mr. Late Night does it again. You have just witnessed the greatest come-from-behind win in Colorado Rockies history. Down 9-3 in the 9th. They throw up a 9th spot.
Unbelievable.
No doubt. Can you think of a more appropriate guy to come to the plate? Wow. You're speechless.
It's just the pictures, tell 1,000 words here. I mean, just to watch this team come back emotionally A lot of Lodo magic just happened here at Coors Field, I can tell you that.
Unbelievable.